Good day, everybody. Good day, good day, good day, good day. Another amazing Sunday. I'm excited. Now, I'll attend to. I am so excited to have you guys here once again. Nko, mbal tentula mbali jaila. Bismillah, al nanang. I want everybody home. I'm really fired up today. I am really, really fired up. If you guys can remember my really, really fired up thing, right? Uh, we are here today. Today is another Sunday, January 30th. I welcome each and every one of you. If you can hear me clearly, let me know. Please, today we are going to have a great conversation. It's sensitive too. We call it national security. When we say national security, we don't mean just security personnel only. Your security matters. And for your own protection, you should also contribute to your security and your family's security. That's why we are here today. I brought Gambians that can also contribute. Their voice will be heard. Please, your emotions, set them on the side. I know some are scared, some are nervous. The fear in some is just terrifying. We understand, but we have to talk. We have to have a dialogue. We have to discuss. That's why we are here today. If you look up right up there, that's my husband up there, Bakary Bah. Yes, Bakary, you are welcome. My husband is Bah, so Bakary is Bah. I'm not trading him for nobody, okay? He's here to stay. All right, we love you, bro. I have Mr. Jeng right there. Dabakh can wait. Dabakh is mine. So Mr. Jeng is there. Mr. Jeng Sulayman Jeng. Mr. Jeng, Koto, you are welcome to Binto Media Network. We are pleased and honored to have you once more. We never had you before. I say once more, but we are glad to have you today. Your contribution will matter here today. Yes. Dabakh, you are welcome home. You are welcome home. So Neneh will be in a little bit. Essa will not make it. We let Essa go today. So mbal tentula mbal jailang kana kachala kacha kumari mbabi. Jang kango does not matter. Nin kango ka momo semin fono bismillah ye kango nyim fono. Nkana national security le fenk. Minketa foni na Senegalese soldier min be banko kan any MFDC le problemo sotono nyin tenen tamila barel lafta momo binala jam please ye ji sumata yalon di famfe ye tulo yele ye la moy ila emotions ila silo ila jarajaro please alandi side isaje konsa kacha ke no nga nyomoyno mbali be tentula mbali jeyila alsen share banku kachala bisu wala nyanta bunya lela thank you ale fali be nyanta bunya la iba toma iba doma ifa doma wala be ifa fulama wala be nyanta bunya la so bunya len tol sin na nyim platform o taja ala barak brothers, you guys are welcome. I am up here. Mr. Jeng.
Yes.
Mr. Jeng, it does not matter. Yeah. Language does not matter here. Any language you can speak, just be comfortable with it. Yes. You are welcome to Binto Media Network for the first time. Hopefully, this will not be your last. Mr. Bakh, you are welcome. First time. Hopefully, will not be your last. Dabakh, you are welcome again and again and again. All right. I want you guys to say hello to the community here, please, before we move on. Mr. Jeng, you can go ahead.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everybody listening, and to my co-panelists. I think I'm really honored to have Daba today and hopefully Neneh Freda later.
She will.
I've been a keen follower. Yeah, I've been a keen follower of your Gis, and I think it is quite enlightening. And particularly Daba and Neneh, your trend of thought and how you look at things is quite awakening. And I think I've learned one or two things from both of you. I'm Suleiman. I hail from Basse, and I taught for a couple of years before I went to the UEP. From there, I joined the Gambia also as a cadet ASP, and then I left because for some political reasons, I was reinstated 2 years ago as chief superintendent. For I didn't return to assume responsibility for as well. But nonetheless, it's like I have keen interest on our national discourse, and I try to comment here and there. Sometimes I make sense, at others I don't. So that's me for a start.
Okay, thank you. You are welcome. Mr. Bah.
Thank you, my wonderful darling wife, my sister. Just gonna put a disclaimer out there. Bineto Network is our network, so it's a wife's network. So I felt to be honored to be at home. Greetings to brother Suleiman. He's someone that I interact quite a lot. We socialize quite a lot in Birmingham. Dabakh is not a stranger. He's a brother that I hang out in Gambia. We do a lot of other social platforms together. I'm a keen follower of your platform, and I do respect the topics and all the guests you bring here because it always adds values to the discussion. And for me, it's an honor to be here. Looking forward to having Sister Neneh as well.
Yes.
She's someone like a personal sister of mine. So I'm greeting all the viewers, but I just want to send a special shout out because what happened is one of my chairman Nyanija brothers shared this post into our village group, and it kind of created a conversation there. So most of them are watching today, so I'm sure a few of our fuller people from chairman are watching. So I'm just saying hello to everyone, particularly those ones as well.
They are welcome. They are welcome to watch and share. Yeah. Daba? Daba, before you say anything first, we just want you to we just want you to say send a great congratulations to our team, the Scorpions, and I will bring the brothers back to say some about our brothers before we move on to national issue.
Yeah, it's like you just read my mind because that's exactly where I was gonna start from. And I think they've not only done themselves great, but I think they did a whole greatness to the whole of Gambia and Africa. And I think they deserve. I don't know what the logistics are, but if I was part of the GFF or the ministry, I think it was important that they make sure the team comes back home before they fly out to their individual clubs, because I think they deserve to be welcomed in a way and manner that they deserve the red carpet. Because I think people like me who have been following Gambian football for over 25 years, there is no single game that Gambia played in Gambia that I did not go to watch. And I knew like this day was gonna come, but I never thought it was gonna come this soon, because I think Gambia had very good players. And what was lacking was investment and getting the right team and the right players and the right state of mind to do what they did. But I think they deserve it, with all honesty. Qualifying, yes, I was optimistic, but getting to the quarterfinals was something that I never thought of. I was thinking maybe we're just going to participate and add numbers and then go out in the first round, but it would be an experience and prepare ourselves. But I think if it was in Cameroon, if we had another team, we were going to the semifinals. Yeah, because the fact that Cameroon is a footballing nation, which has produced people like Samuel Eto'o, in terms of caliber, in terms of experience, they have it more than us. And not only that, but also they were the host country. So for me, I think those were some of the challenges that they faced. But the coach did great and the boys did great. And I think every Gambian needs to celebrate them. And I think, government needs to organize them to come back home so that Gambians can, show them appreciation and show them love. But also let them prepare, because the next qualified round stage is already balloted. And our next game is Chad. I think the preparation needs to start now, because already Gambia has set itself up high there. So anything short of qualification would be a failure. So I think they need to also come back home and then sit down as a ministry, as the federation, and diagnose some of the things that went right and some of the things that went wrong. Because I think some of the things, certain things happen. We are all human beings. Like the case of Steve, I don't think it was managed properly. The case of Nda also, I don't think it was managed properly. So I think some of those things also were distractions to actually the team. And it might not have a greater impact on the team, but I think it contributed towards what happened on our game against Cameroon. But by large and all, I think they've surpassed estimation of not only Gambians, but even CAF and the world. And I think now nobody's going to ask where Gambia is or Zambia.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Ba, come on in.
Thank you very much. I mean, there is not much to say on top of what Dabakh have said. I'm sitting here proudly wearing the Scorpion shirt. To be quite honest, maybe people in the Gambia doesn't know the significance of this, but for us living in the diaspora, like Dabakh have just said, we used to take some time to explain to people where Gambia was and where Zambia is. And I think in the last 2 weeks, they have been one of our greatest ambassadors. They've put us in the world map. I mean, interestingly, yesterday I was at work. To watch Gambia play on BBC was overwhelming and was emotional. They've put us in the map. No one have expected us to perform the way we did. We've surpassed all the expectations, and I hope and I believe that they deserve a very rousing welcome, fitting of heroes, because they are definitely heroes, the players, the coach, the team. And we have to commend everyone that has contributed, including the ministry, the government, the fans, donors. This is unbelievable, and it's a very proud moment for every Gambian, and we just want to say thank you to the boys.
Thanks. Jeng?
Yeah, I think as for me, when it comes to football, I'm not really keen. So even here is like, when they ask me which team you support, I said, no, I'm not into football. But because of the Scorpions, they have awakening, sleeping dogs in me regarding football. And like Bakary said, I was at work yesterday, and then one of my colleagues tuned to BBC too. I said, that's my country. Hey. So it elated me in a way. And then I think the Scorpions has like, I'm putting up a poem, Pipe Dream, and I said, no more, runs to the stage, to establish and to stamp out devaluation. So it's like I'm trying to kind of project, the achievement that the Scorpion has, not only given to themselves, the players, but to the whole nation, as picked by Dabakh and Bakary. The government needs to invest more in them, and they need to invest more in sports, because sports is another, area that sells a country. It brings the unified people, because if you look at, I think I wrote something about that, unity is strength, and I said despite Gambian being peculiar and polarized, we all kind of galvanized towards the map, and that is only done because of Scorpions. So that means, like Dabakh said, they should not only be given heroes welcome, but they should be rewarded, and government need to invest more in sports, particularly football. And thank you, the Scorpions. You've done us proud once more.
For me,
and thank you also for hosting me, because I think this is a great forum, like I shared on my wall. It's like I'm fortunate to be among great Gambians with great minds. Dabakh, Bakary, Neneh, and Essa. These are people. Bakary, like, we interacted, but for Dabakh, Neneh, and Essa, I've never interacted with them, but I followed their works. I listen to them. So I feel humbled being one of them, and that is through you. So thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Okay, as for me, when it comes to the scorpions, I have my own children here. The patient that you put down, the sacrifice you put down to take your child to sports, running around, the expenses that these parents did for these young men, especially the ones in the diaspora, is just is we cannot just thank them enough. So my appreciation goes to their parents, their spouse that are at home, and the boys, the guys don't have like much time to give them as spouse because they are going to the gym, they are going to exercise, they are going to do this, they are traveling. I mean, our appreciation as Gambians go back to them, their parents and their wives. So thank you all very much. So we're going to move on. Mr. Gang, we
Yes.
on Monday something
Mhm.
happened between the Senegalese soldiers in the Gambia and the
Mhm.
MFDC in Casamance.
Yes.
Shooting happened. Uh, I
Mhm.
think most of us know a lot about it. But when you heard that,
Mhm.
what was your
Mhm.
reaction? What went through your mind?
Well, a lot of things. As you know, a security personnel, was I had actually, to be quite honest, it was a mixed feelings for me.
Hmm.
I was disappointed, and then I was also kind of thankful because it did not escalate to a level wherein a greater part of us would have been consumed. When I say greater part of us, I mean the Gambia would have been caught up in the conflict.
Hmm.
But again, I said this is a situation wherein one has to not only narrow it, you know, on the under the political lenses, because in your introduction you did mention security is not just about the personnel,
Hmm.
but when you talk about national security, is broad based.
Hmm.
This would include economic security, this would include social security,
Hmm.
this would include political security,
Hmm.
this would also include you know the border security and the day-to-day security of the country.
Hmm.
So uh, the ordinary person would expect a quick fix to the solution, that government should do this and then that would bring about an end result.
Hmm.
But if you look at the whole situation, you understand its historic background,
Hmm.
you would realize it's not only Gambia or Senegal that is affected, it is the sub-region, and then the most vulnerable
Hmm.
is Gambia, Senegal, and Bissau.
Hmm.
So once you understand that, you realize this problem can't be solved by Gambia on its own, neither can it be solved by Senegal on its own,
Hmm.
but it has to be solved at the regional level.
Hmm.
And then at the regional level, the politicians who we entrust with the responsibility of managing our states
Hmm.
need to sit, they need to be very honest about the thing, and they need to draw, a holistic strategy
Hmm.
that would address, the whole issue, not only on the military level,
Hmm.
because if you look at it, the premise is smuggling of timber,
Hmm.
and we know we don't have that kind of timber in the Gambia. Okay, the timber is mostly within the Casamas region,
Hmm.
and then you've got rebels, who rely heavily on timber and cannabis
Hmm.
as source of income to finance, their war
Hmm.
or their rebellion or whatever you may call it. And then on the other side, you can also see in both countries,
Yeah, Koto,
Gambia,
put the
Senegal.
Koto, excuse me, put the mic down. They said you are breaking. Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's clear now.
Okay. Um, if you look at on the commercial aspect, both Gambia, Senegal, and Bissau has civilians who are prominent and powerful, who are highly involved in these timber deals. And you also have some government officials who are directly benefiting from this. So as a result, because that is the economic aspect, as a result, it would be very difficult to get a quick fix to the solution. That's why I said both governments of the three countries that share that border need to sit down and need to be honest and need to strategize, not only on the military aspect, but they need to look at the political aspect. They need to look at the commercial, the economic aspect, so that they could come up with, a possible and a sustainable solution. I would reference one of the economic aspect would be to involve, the parties that are directly or indirectly benefiting from the timber sale. I know for drugs that one is illegal, so they would not wherein the rebels have to stop it, or custom official has to stop and search. I would cite like in the case of the blood diamond, when the international community realized, and some of those people, the sub-region, that a lot of other people are benefiting from the diamond from Sierra Leone, which was helping to sponsor the rebel. They came and projected it, in an ethical point, wherein they call it blood diamond. So because of that, a lot of the people that used to buy it, minimize or stop purchasing it, and they had to go underground. And because of that, it cut down, on the market, on the sales or the demand of the diamonds. So that could be another aspect wherein this government need to sit and see, who in particular is the main buyer of these timbers. Now we know, I think from the consignment that was shared on social media, I think is it Cambodia? These countries also need to be involved, when strategizing or trying to find out, the possible solution to kind of stop or ease, the illegal trade of timber. And the other point also that I want to talk on the military aspect, is like I've seen a lot of people getting a bit emotional, and saying we need to start trusting our soldiers. We need to, so the economic, the exit door, they need to go, and then our own soldiers should take up. But if you look at peacekeeping missions, these are designed and created under international protocols. And when you want to, downsize or wind them up, there is a gradual process. And unless you follow that gradual process, immediately sending people out like that, to say, because I trust my own soldiers, and then they need to be given the responsibility, could also create another further insecurity, into the region.
Yeah, we will go into that more very soon. Yeah, we'll go into that more very soon. Mama Neneh is here. Are you there? Good day. You
Hello, gorgeous. Hello.
yes,
Good to be here. And hello, everybody.
Yeah, you are welcome to Binto Media Network. We are excited, and we are excited to have you. We already
Thank
started
you
the
so much.
discussion. Yes. We just want to know your view. What went through your mind when you heard what happened between the Senegalese based in the Gambia and the MFDC on Monday?
Oh, wow. I mean, first of all, I just ask myself, how did we get here? And what is happening? How are we going to handle the situation? And, I think as a country, we really need to be serious about where we are and where we want to go. We can we can have diplomatic relationships with other countries, but I want to believe that every country, in everything you do, you have to look out for your own country's interests first. That should be paramount. But you cannot try to serve the interests of another country or trying to be jolly and poly with somebody else to the detriment of your own people. And for me, honestly, I keep asking, what is the interest? What is our interest as a country, allowing these military people or Senegal having a base or whatever in our own soil? What is Gambia's interest? Again, this is different from the economic, because economic, I understand they have a mandate. Again, are they really staying within the scope of their mandate? We need to ask ourselves. But then this MFDC and then the Senegalese soldiers, these are two different groups that are outside of the economic. So there are serious questions and honest questions that we really need to ask and have a discussion and see what serves the interest of the Gambia. And if you ask me, I think it is it is risky and it is a threat. When I saw videos and pictures of people living in that vicinity, fleeing out of fear, they're scared for their life because they don't know. Most of them.
Give her a minute. She will be back. Okay, Mr. Bah, go ahead.
Thank you, Benito, and she's back.
Is she back? Okay.
Right,
Mama Neneh, you can turn your video off. Yeah, we will. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, just listening to Brother Sulayman's contribution and a bit of Neneh. This issue is a very sensitive issue. But before I even go on, I just want to extend my condolence to those who lose their life. It's unfortunate that such kind of situations, people lose their lives, and mostly is the civilians that are affected massively, particularly the women and the children. So we extend our condolence to the deceased and also pray for the injured to be healed. And when you talk about Gambia and Senegal, you look at it from the special relationship that we had as Gambians and Senegalese because of what binds us culturally, politically, economically, security-wise, and all that. But then again, Gambia is a sovereign state. Senegal is its own sovereign state. In as much as we have that special relationship, the Senegalese wouldn't love the Gambians so much more than themselves, where they will put the interests of the Gambians first before them. So any leader of a country, that leader would put the interests of that country they are leading in front. So now, if you look at the situation between the Gambia and Senegal, in fact, if you look at the Constitution, Section 88, subsection 4 of the Constitution, there shouldn't be any military deployment within the Gambia or like any military deployment outside of the Gambia, like our own contingency, without the approval of a National Assembly. There was a confusion during the first incident that happened in the Fonies there. People thought that the Senegalese forces there were under the command of ECOMIG. ECOMIG came out and said, no, these soldiers, they are directly under the Senegalese government. And then I think the Defense Minister Omar Faye, because I'm a big follower of the National Assembly, and thanks to our brother Kek Sane, he was questioning the National Assembly for him to clarify the distinction between ECOMIG and the Senegalese forces, because like you said, like few people have said, there is a mandate for the ECOMIG forces. But the Senegalese forces in Fonyi, apparently this is an agreement between the presidents. And any international agreement between the Gambia and another country need to be ratified by the National Assembly. So the Senegalese deployment in Fonyi is somehow in contradiction to our constitution. And our National Assembly has a role and a part to play in this. Our politicians have a role and part to play in this because, yes, we have a special relationship with Senegal, but Since 2016, there has been flashpoints between the Senegalese forces in the Fonyi, and in fact with some Gambians, and to an extent now it has gone to the MFDC rebels. Now, Gambians, we need to go after our own national interests, and this needs to be spearheaded by our leader. But unfortunately, our president's hand is somehow tied because his own personal security is within the Senegalese people. And like Brother Sulayman has said, it's going to be difficult just to say to the economic pack and go, because what needed to happen since 2016 hasn't happened to date, which is the security sector reform. So it created that big security vacuum where now our people are not ready to step up because the political will to make sure that security sector reform hasn't happened. And this has resulted to this. And coming to the issue of the timber, for me, it's not, the solution is not a military solution. There can be some other solutions to this, partly sitting down and talking. And this timber that's been smuggled, it's been shipped from a port. So why not emphasize the security or their focus at the port confiscated there? Or if the Senegalese are there for the interest and the security of the Gambia, why not? Because this has caused a flashpoint, change this movement. Maybe put the other economic forces from other countries in that area and withdraw the Senegalese forces and put them into an area where we're not having this flashpoint. So there is economic issues into it, there is politics into it, and there is security into it. So it's very sensitive. We have to be careful. We have to approach it very cautiously. But our leaders need to make sure whatever they're ratifying and agreeing, at least it goes according to the constitution, and also the interest of the Gambia and us Gambians comes first. I will give chance to other people, and then you can expand.
Mama Neneh, go ahead. You are saying some. If you have any difficulties, you can turn off your camera. That's all.
Yeah, that's okay. Let me just try again and see. Again, Dabakh can relate. This is Gambia. Internet disappoints you when you don't expect it. So I'm very sorry about that. I'm very sorry about. Who was that person that was just speaking before you started talking to me?
That's Bakary Bah.
That's your brother Bakary.
Bakary.
Oh, hi Bakary. Hi. How are you?
Sulayman Jeng is right there too, and he was saying hello too.
Oh, hi Sulayman. How are you, my dear?
I'm fine, Neneh. It's been an honor to share a platform with you for the first time.
Absolutely, I'm excited. I told Binto, oh my God, I'm sure I will learn, huh?
I've been looking forward to it all week,
Oh my God. Thank you so much. But anyways, thank you very much, Binto. I was listening to Bakary Bah, I was like, dude, did we talk before this show? Because you were there spilling everything I have in my head, right? It was like me talking. But I honestly agree verbatim with what Bakary just said. Honestly, and like before the internet went off, I was saying our leaders always need to look out for our interests. But then at this point in time, it's like somebody's looking at personal interests and or trying to get into agreement or deals because that person or that individual can really help him further his agenda or help him entrench himself. That's exactly what we have happening. We just really need to hit the nail on the spade and call it what it is. Like Bakary said, this did not go through the right process, did not go through the right channels or whatever. How can they have this bilateral without passing it through parliament, which is just not right. It is wrong. And that's what needs to be corrected. So I think we really need to go back to the drawing board and revisit this whole thing and try to protect the interests of our citizenry, the protect of Gambians, because it was really, really scary. We've seen videos going around of gunshots and people fleeing and all that. It brings back memories. We've gone through this during the impasse, and we really don't have to go through it just because of selfish interest. Like Bakary said, okay, we're talking about timber, wood, or whatever. It goes from some place to some place. What channel does it pass through? The authorities who are manning those places, and of course, the ports. What is happening there? So basically, there's a whole chain, a whole link of people involved who are really not looking at the interests of the citizenry or the Gambia, but only trying to protect positions and people. And we need to go to the drawing board and revisit the whole thing and have frank and honest conversations to really salvage our country.
Okay. Dabakh, please.
The Casamas issue and the presence of ECOMIG and the Senegalese forces in Gambia did not just happen because somebody want them to just come to Gambia. And for me, issues like this, I think two things that needs to be put aside. One is emotions, and two is politics. And what I saw on social media, coming both from Gambian political commentators and politicians, I think is more of political rhetoric than speaking based on facts. One, Senegal did not just come and impose themselves in Gambia. Let's all flash back our mind. In 2016, who were the people who were on the street dancing and clapping for these forces when they were coming in the Gambia? Was it not the same Gambians that are talking today? Barrow did not just jump and went and said, okay, Senegalese forces come to Gambia or ECOMIG come to Gambia. We had a peculiar situation. We went through an election. And in that elections, Gambians decided, and the person who was the incumbent, that is Jammeh, who was a dictator who has killed and maimed and did a whole lot of things against Gambians, refused. And he did not only refuse the election result, but he said he was going to cancel the election, which he does not have the power to. He went to the point that even he went to the National Assembly to declare a state of emergency. And if that state of emergency has passed, Jammeh would have still been the president of the Gambia of today without the intervention of ECOMIG and the foreign forces. So for me, I think the ECOMIG forces being in Gambia is not an issue, because that's the same way we have had Gambians go to Sierra Leone. We have had Gambians in Liberia. We had Gambians in Guinea-Bissau. We currently have Gambians in Sudan serving as a peacekeeping mission. We had Gambians in East Timor, and it went to the point, because I've seen people make claims of, okay, Senegalese forces are protecting the security of our president. Gambian police officers, Gambian military officers were the personal protection officers of the president of East Timor. And this, I am telling you, because I had a brother who was directly the personal bodyguard of the East Timori president. So for me, that's not an issue. The issue is we should look at this at a very serious level. Because for me, what is happening in Casamance, I'm not seeing that as a rebellion. Because the rebellion ended long time ago. Because we all know MFDC, after the death of Father Jamakul Senghor, split it into splinter groups. And currently, the splinter group that is creating havoc in Senegal, in the Casamance region, is the one that is associated with Salif Sadio. Okay, let's look at what was the relationship between Salif Sadio and Jammeh and the timber trade. Jammeh was so much involved in the timber trade, and everybody knows that. You look at the BBC documentary, it has shown everything. And even the Jammeh Commission have also explained, we had that Chinese company that was in Gambia that were exporting timber, using the Chinese company to export timber from Casamance to other parts of the world. And Jammeh was very much involved. And we've seen during the commission the testimonies of that guy and how much was paid to Jammeh monthly or on every consignment. So during that period, the MFDC faction of Salif Sadio was protecting the interests of Jammeh and in the timber trade. And it continued. Okay, when Jammeh left, they didn't have anywhere like the way they have it before, whereby they can have arms or money or whatever. So they continued that line of trade, and that is, they continued the timber trade. And most of the people who go to Casamance to buy this timber are Gambians, and that's a clear fact, because Gambia does not have that level of timber in our country. And for me, first, what I look at is 90% of the people living in Casamance are farmers. Okay, first, before we talk about even security, like the police and all this stuff, like Sulayman said, national security goes beyond having the military around or the police. Food security is number one. And the cost of deforestation that is happening in Casamance is affecting the land input of those farmers living in Casamance. That's one. Two, you have these groups of MFDC who are going against the people, taking their animals, raping the women and doing a whole lot of things. So for me, where I have an issue with the Gambia government is, one, the Gambia government knows all this timber coming into the Gambia is not originally from the Gambia. It's coming from the Casamas region. That's one. Two, they still allow these timbers to go through the port process and then be exported. So for me, that's where I have an issue with the Gambia government, and which I think the government needs to come up with immediately and put a stop to that. Because, our relationship with Senegal is beyond governmental relationship. People are related, and especially if you go around the Fonies or some other parts of the Gambia, our borders are so much close that we have family ties from both ends. You understand? And in matters like that, people need to be very careful in how they react to some of these things. But what is important is, for me, I think the importance of ECOMIG in the Gambia cannot be emphasized. And I can tell you this, without ECOMIG, the coalition government would never have been installed. One, even if they were installed, they would have been kicked out a long time ago. You understand? Because the truth is, we are now aspiring to be a democratic nation after 22 years of dictatorship. It's always going to be very difficult, because I've seen people may complain, yeah, the security sector reform, this, that. No. If we say we are aspiring to be a democratic nation, we must follow rules and procedures of what democratic values stands for.
Okay.
We know we have people within the army who are complicit in crimes against humanity, in crimes against Gambians and all that stuff. But we cannot also just jump and fire those people like that, because it has to go through a process, and which has just ended not long time ago, and that is the TRRC. And I hope government will review the TRRC report holistically and independently, without any biasness, and act based on what is right and just, to make sure we move to the next stage. Because I know it's not going to be easy. It's going to be rough. It's going to be a difficult time. But the most important thing is we have the backing of the international community and ECOWAS to go through that process. So I know it's about nationality, it's about nationalism and all this stuff, but come on. ECOMIG did not just jump and come to Gambia because they wanted to invade Gambia. No. And that does not mean also that Gambia is not a sovereign state. Gambia is a sovereign state because we conducted our elections. We have a president, we have a national assembly, we have a national budget, and all these things are within the doctrines of a sovereign state. So no other country the Senegalese National Assembly is not deciding for Gambia. The Senegalese president is not deciding for Gambia. But what happened between Gambia and Senegal is nothing new. Even in international politics, it's happening. You have America has a base in Japan. They have a base in Asia. They have base in other countries. America has a base in Germany.
Yeah,
so is Germany giving out their sovereignty to America because they allowed an American military base inside Germany? No. Some of these things are strategic. And, national security is on need-to-know basis. It's not everything that the government knows or the military guys know. They will come out in public and talk about it. No.
Yeah. Okay. Dabakh, hold on. We're gonna we want to construct this so people will understand first before we go into detail. Mr. Jeng. Mr. Jeng, Gambians are here. Some are confused like me. Who are those soldiers in Foni? Are they ECOMIG, or are they Senegalese? In fact, I don't know if you can make us understand the mandate of ECOMIG in the Gambia too.
Well, I think if we look at the reason why ECOMIG came into Gambia was because of the impasse. And that was to help Essa Njie out and swear in then president-elect. So in a nutshell, I think that was the mandate. And then after, because there was that kind of, I wouldn't say mistrust, but they needed, at the time, the ECOMIG was needed to establish that security so that there would be stability, there wouldn't be any, how would I put this? Another, I'm just looking at the security. Let's say, for instance, another uprising when Jammeh leaves, and if it was only the soldiers, the Gambian soldiers, probably there would have been another uprising that would kind of destabilize the country and plunge whole, an unsecured state of anarchy, and probably that would have created an environment for Jammeh to come back. So the economic was there to help, stabilize, that security aspect, and ensure democracy was given a breathing space to establish itself, so that at the same time, the government would introduce that security sector reform we talked about, and then our military would be restructured, retrained, so that they can assume their rightful national positions or responsibilities.
It's
I
making
think,
a lot of noise, right, on his side? A lot of noise coming out.
is it?
Huh?
How is it now?
If he can
How is
remove
it
his
now?
mic and just speak
Yeah,
directly without the
the
earpiece.
earpiece. Okay,
Okay. How is it now?
a
Yeah,
whole lot
better.
better.
Yeah.
Okay. I think in a nutshell, that was the mandate. Okay. Sometimes I get confused when they say in Fonyi is the Senegalese soldiers. At some point they would say is the ECOMIC. But from my own point of view, even if they are ECOMIC, knowing the bad blood between the Senegalese and the Casamas rebels, and giving Fonyi as a proxy to Casamas, it would not have been, you know, uh, a good security strategy to place any Senegalese within that border that would expose them closer to the Casamas rebels. I would have used like the Nigerians, stationed them in Fonyi, or use the Ghanaians, station them in Fonyi, because these are neutral people who had no interest whatsoever in the, Casamas Gambia border. But once you place Senegalese soldiers there, even if they are under the umbrella of ECOMIC, you are exposing, you are kind of breathing like a potential threat between the two, because these are arch enemies. So you are bringing them closer together. So you are saying at any time you can jump on each other's throat. I think that's what happened there. So for me, it is it is a wrong, security strategy placing the Senegalese economic soldiers in Fonyi.
Okay.
Can I just say something if that's
Yes, please.
okay on that?
You guys
You've
are
asked a
free. Yeah,
very
let's go ahead.
you've asked a very important question, and it's very important that we try and answer that question so that the viewers kind of get the answer of that question.
Yeah.
There is a difference between the economic forces and the Senegalese contingency in Fonyi. And I'm not the one trying to make the differences here. The differences has been established already. You've asked a question of what is the mandate of economic. We know what is the mandate of economic. The mandate of economic, we had an election in 2016. The former president refused the election, and we were going to go into crisis. ECOWAS came in, and they had a meeting, and the economic mandate under the banner was Operation Restore Democracy, the will of the Gambians. That is the mandate of economic in the Gambia. We clearly know what the mandate of economic is. Now, the problem we have is we don't know what is the mandate of the Senegalese contingency in Fonyi, and that is causing us issues. Because in the National Assembly, the Gambia Defense Minister, Mr. Omar Faye, was asked, because an incident happened before that, and the spokesperson of ECOMIC came out and said, those forces in Fonyi, they're not under my direct command, I'm not responsible to them. So that brings that issue of asking, because everybody, until that time, people like me told that everybody that came outside during that time, again, I've just quoted the Constitution, Section 88, subsection 4 of our Constitution. Any deployment of foreign forces in our country needs to be ratified through the National Assembly. So the Senegalese forces in Senegal is what we call in Wolof, daha ganar wahale sa sohla. In as much as we have that special relationship with Senegal, they are our brothers and sisters. The Senegalese leadership use a political strategy to promote their national interest. As Suleiman have just said here, we know there has been few flashpoints between the Senegalese forces in Fonyi and even with some Gambians in the Fonyi, not just the separatist movement in Casamas. So, like Suleiman have said, if a good strategy was made in terms of maintaining security and peace within that region, I'm one of a security specialists, but I'm not a military guy. We do what is called risk assessment. You assess the risk, you evaluate it, and you come up with a plan and a policy. Now, the Senegalese forces being in Casamas is causing us an issue. The issue is because there has been a conflict between that part and the Senegalese forces before. Why not, one, even if they were under economic, to let's say put the Ghanaians there, put the Nigerians there. But up to now, the Senegalese forces in Casamas, we don't know what their mandate is. And as far as I know, and I'm not trying to be a lawyer here, people can speak on the terms of the law. We can question the legality of them being in the Gambia. And this is not about Gambia not being a sovereign state, because sometimes people can try and politicize things to foster their own political interests. Like Dabakh has said earlier, they have this alliance movement. You've got the Americans in Japan because they are there to protect the Japanese and stuff like that. We've got them in Europe because of the issue with NATO against the former Soviet Union. But I believe, the reason why we have the Senegalese forces there is to promote the interests economically and politically for Senegal. And as I just said in Wolof, moy daha sa sola wahale sa daha ganar wahale sa sola. So they are there to kind of do something that they could not do before, but on the gist of that this opportunity open up in 2016. We appreciate the support Senegal does for us. We cannot underplay that, but they are not under the mandate of economic, and those are two different things that we need to differentiate. Thank you.
Yeah, Deba, some said we had an agreement with Senegal government, our government. That's the hot pursuit. Somebody did a crime somewhere, they run all the way to the inside the country. It happened to was it Busura the last time, and they had a bullet, whatever, they shoot something in the air. So these are examples that have been going on. Should we look into this hard pursuit? And in fact, is the president afraid to get rid of to return the economic outside the country, to return them back and stick with our soldiers?
Binto, you see, transnational Gambians need to understand one thing: transnational crimes are beyond borders, and we're living in a world today that crimes or criminal syndicates does not necessarily have to base in your country for them to operate there. And if you look at the way the world is going since 9/11. We've seen how international global security has changed. Before, people can just jump and transfer money from one destination to another without very much stiff questions being asked. But now, because of terrorist financing and money laundering and the narco trade, for you to transfer funds from one country to another, questions will be asked, and you need to bring out proofs. If those proofs are not highlighted, they confiscate the money. In certain airports, there are certain limits that you can travel with in terms of cash. And even in that situation, sometimes you ask questions about the source of the money. So all these things are global security. So it's not only about Gambia. And Gambia and Senegal is so unique and is not like any other country in Africa or in the world. Because these are two states, but Gambia is surrounded by Senegal in three sides, and for Gambia to be secured, Senegal needs to be. If Senegal is secured, it limits even the amount of investments that our government needs to do in terms of security. Because there is no foreign invasion that can happen in Gambia unless they come through the Atlantic Ocean. And even that, you have to pass through Senegal. So for us, having a very good bilateral relationship with Senegal is very much important to Gambia and the Gambia government. Okay, the issue of hot pursuit, for me, I don't see anything wrong in that, because these are happening not only in Gambia, but globally, everywhere. Because sometimes people have committed crimes in Gambia. And the reason why they had Interpol is because for Gambia to be able to trace these people, and with the collaboration and work with other securities in other countries, so that they can get these people arrested and then, repatriate them to Gambia for them to face justice. So if Gambia wants to be an independent state that does not have any bilateral relationship with other countries, who is going to suffer is Gambia. Okay, people need to understand one thing. Everything that you see in this world comes with a cost. Because the fact that even eating is nice and everybody likes it, especially the fullers, but it comes with a cost. You have to pull out money to be able to have a very nice meal. If you don't pull out money, you will not have a nice meal. You understand? In 2016, when all these things was happening, maybe we were very much enthusiastic and we were happy that we were getting rid of Jammeh, and we did not sit down and think about the ripple effects of having a foreign force on Gambian soil, some of the challenges it's going to cause in future. But two, also, I can understand why they had the Senegalese forces and ECOMIG, because initially the mandate of ECOMIG was never to come and engage in security issues. Their mandate was to come and install democracy in Gambia, but also guarantee the safety and the security of the president and his cabinet. But after, the mandates have been changing. You understand? And now possibly maybe they will look at having ECOMIG as a police force, because after the 2016 election, they became a stabilization force. Because the truth is, there were people within the army, and the TRRC has shown that. People who were in uniform and they've committed serious crimes against their fellow, let's forget about even civilians, but their fellow security personnel. And these are people within the same barracks, working in the same offices. And we have seen people come to TRRC and testify, and they said it. This guy did this thing to me, and every day I go to work and I see him, and he's my boss. I'm not happy. So what would have happened if ECOMIG was not on the ground? Possibly the law of the jungle would have happened. Could have happened. I would have just gone and said, okay, this guy tortured me, and I'm a soldier, I have a gun. I opened a gun on him.
Okay.
So possibly, okay, I don't think Barrow is afraid to let go of ECOMIG. Because it's not only going to affect Barrow. Barrow is an individual. But when we talk about Gambia, our national security, it's a collective of everybody involved. Not only Gambians, but even non-Gambians resident in Gambia, because it's the primary responsibility of government to make sure that the lives and properties of people are safe and secure. And for me, the option we have now, unless and until we look at the army, the security sector reform, which needed to happen, is completed. Those people who hands are dirty are weed out of the security services, then probably we can think of ECOMIG going. But for the first time in our history, after 50-something years of independence, this is the first time a Gambia is having a national security policy, which is going to guide our security officers to know how they operate and on what basis. So for me, it's a progress. It's not going to be easy, because something that has happened for 23 years, you cannot just come in one day and then you make it perfect. It's not possible. Whether it's Barrow or it's somebody else, it was going to be like this. And Gambia, we are lucky, because most of the countries that came from dictatorship to democracy is either they plunge back to the dictatorship, or there are a lot of issues that happens, problems, demonstrations, or war or crimes, and all this stuff usually happens. And the facts are there for people to verify.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Jeng,
Yes.
Fonyi people are asking this question. It's almost 6 years now. Why security is based within them? Why Fonyi alone?
Well, I'll pick from where Daba said, and let's assume, for instance, ECOMIC has wind up and they've gone, and our security, our soldiers have, taken full control of our national and border security. But the MFDC, the Casamas and Senegalese, rebel still continues and is not abated or is not resolved. And this timber smuggling is still going on. So the problem would still be there. Okay, for me, why is the security we are based in Fonyi? There's only probably one reason or two. We all know that when Jammeh left, we were made aware that some of the weaponry from the army, a greater part of it, especially that was at Kanilai and State House, most of it is not accounted. And I've spoken to somebody today who was on the ground when this, shooting happened on Monday. And the person disclosed, the type of weaponry that he has seen with the rebels, the Casamas rebels, and most of them are brand new and are sophisticated. So you tend to wonder, is it the weapons that are not accounted from our army? Or is it the weapons that they bought from their timber, smuggling resource? Nobody can, lay a finger on that. So giving Fonyi, like I initially stated, as a proxy to Casamas, which is a base of this MFDC, and then most instances, when Jammeh was in control, he had issues with the Senegalese government. The Senegalese government at some point believed Jammeh was sponsoring the rebels in Casamas, even if he hasn't. But there was some indications that he had a hand, because most of the time when Jammeh speak, they listen. He can broker peace and stuff like that. So that means he, to some extent, Jammeh had a greater influence on the rebels than the Senegalese government. So if Jammeh is removed, by a foreign force, and then those weapons are still unaccounted, do you think it would be safe just to leave Fonyi like an open window without any security, base? That would have been catastrophic. And the other thing also we need to understand, there are villages in the Gambia, like David Kujabi noted. These villages are almost into both countries. Senegal, half of it is in Senegal, the other half is in the Gambia. And if you look at these people, it's like they are unbordered by the political border, but because of their strategic position, these rebels can easily use those villages to come in and out of the countries unchecked. And they can do a lot of things. So for me, I think it is very, very, strategic to have a security base in Fonyi. But my only reservation is having a Senegalese soldiers based there. Preferably, if I were to decide, I would have used a neutral, military like Ghana, Nigeria, etc., or Sierra Leone to base in Fonyi instead of the Senegalese.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Thank you, Mr. Bah.
Yeah.
Fonyi, they felt from the beginning just the same question: marginalized. What should the government do to accommodate them too? Because it's now we can use the word accommodation, because they felt like they are not part of us because of the inconveniences, certain things happening there, just like crazy example like this. What would you say?
Look, the bottom line is Fonyi is in the Gambia, and all people from Fonyi, they are Gambians like me and you. Their rights should be respected. What needs to happen, what belongs to them needs to be given to them. Their security, in fact, should be guaranteed by this Gambia government with, that have that agreement. So basically, for me, there is a political discussion that needs to happen. Just military only is not going to solve this. And believe me, since 2016 to now, there has been a lot of flashpoints and there has been a lot of indications within the Fonyi that cannot be ignored anymore. This government need to form a task force of key individuals within Fonyi and spell it out clearly, like, look, we are not marginalizing Fonyi. Fonyi is within the Gambia. You guys are Gambians. And also listen to the concerns of the Fonyi people, because it should be a two-way conversation. You cannot just go and impose things on people. Listen to their concerns as well. Try to address their concerns, because if their concerns are valid and legit, it's in the interest of this government to address those concerns. You can't ignore them. And if you ignore them, it might seem like you are kind of like inflating them, and they might see like you are siding with someone else. And that should not be the case. And coming back to the main issue here, the issue of the Senegalese forces in Fonyi cannot be, what's the word I'm looking for? Cannot just be ignored if they're not under the economic.
Yeah, he might have a call, somebody calling on his phone.
From everyone's end. Can you guys hear me? Yeah?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So basically, those concerns cannot be ignored anymore. And for me, a key to something, any head of state or any government should not ratify or put us in any agreement that is contravening the same constitution that the president swear to uphold. That should not be even a conversation we should entertain. And secondly, the reason why this security sector reform has not happened to now is two things. Is the lack of political will from the top there, and the other thing, the people that are meant to head the security sector reform are the same people who were involved in these issues. So you cannot put my house, throw petrol on my house and then light it up, and then be seen as the same person coming to try and help me extinguish that fire. So hence why the delays. We can, yes, we need economic there right now to stabilize our security and to maintain peace. But how long? We need to have a policy. We need to have a strategy. And we have wasted almost 5 years of this. And if we don't push for this, and if there is no leadership for will for that, we might go another 5 years without this security sector reform. We have very competent and professional Gambian soldiers. Yes, there are some elements of them. It's not a secret. We've seen it in the TRRC, that definitely they did something really, really bad. But again, one of the problems is we cannot take the same brush and brush it to everybody that wear the uniform at that time. Not every one of them were bad. And I think this government, one of the issues that has happened up to now, that has been one of the case. It's like that lack of trust towards the entire Gambian security forces. And we need to try and get a boundary or start somewhere else to try and fix that, and to start having our own people looking after our own security interests.
Dabakh, before I come back to you, Mr. Jeng, Gambians are very concerned. We have, Mr. President has been sworn in, and he went back and sworn in his caretaker parliament again. And issues have started happening. Would you agree with Mr. Bah that the government is quiet? They will stay quiet. Things like this, they will not communicate with the nation. What do they need to change? Because it's the same people, it's the same president. Issues are coming.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't agree with Mr. Bah that the government is quiet. The government has, established a task force that is looking into the crisis. They investigating, and then until they come up with their findings, government cannot say this is what we're going to do or this is how we're going to resolve it. The other point also, Dabakh picked it, which I think is quite essential. In managing a nation is different from managing a household. It's not everything that the government knows that they would give out to the public, because in security there is what we call need to know basis. There is certain information, if you know it, it could endanger your life.
Mm-hmm.
So if that information is kept from you, it saves you. So it's not every security information that government would divulge to the public. They can give you in small doses what government thinks the public needs to know this thing. And also to add to what Bakary said, we also need to look back, the problem of Fonyi, where it all started. Because when Jammeh was in power, Fonyi had so many things, for granted. They would have free electricity, water, food, etc. So when Jammeh left, most of these things was cut. I think that was what kind of precipitated the initial issues in Fonyi.
Mm-hmm.
And Fonyi was resistant to the coalition government. And the coalition government, was reactive in a way because they wanted to put their foot down and show Fonyi, we are in control and Jammeh is not in control.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of taking the issue like Bakary stated, establishing, a task force comprising of, people from Fonyi and other, people from the government and NGOs to look into how to address Fonyi, how to, kind of bring them into accepting the change and trying to address some of their needs and concerns. That has not been done. And yes, I think I would agree with Barrow for having a caretaker government at this material time, because personally, I've always been advocating
Mm-hmm.
that Barrow needs to, for me, his next cabinet would kind of tell me whether he is actually serious to bring about the change that we've always wanted,
Mm-hmm.
and that he wants to build his legacy, that he wants to succeed. For me, that would depend. The cabinet that he's going to come up with would give me those answers and reassurances. So I think he is very strategic, politically strategic, in swearing in a caretaker government until after the National Assembly elections, wherein he can come in and pick the people that he think has the pedigree and experience,
Mm-hmm.
even if they are not his diehard supporters, or people that he can pick from UDP, from GDC, etc. People that he think can bring about that change, people that he think can unify the country, people that he think can reconcile, and give Gambians what they need. For me, I am very comfortable, and I think I agree with him on that.
Okay. Daba,
Yes.
I'm from Faraba.
Yes.
Everybody know what happened 2018 because we were ignored. I mean, dead ignored until one day we lost our brothers because we were shot at. Few things happened in Fonyi too. And this caretaker government is the same government that was there when I'm telling you issues happened. Do you think they should continue their system like this, not to come and talk to the nation, to ease people's mind down, parents, mothers running outside the country with their children? What is wrong with this government? Lack of communication. Please, that's what we want to know. If you have, and you are not in the government, but
Yeah.
we just ask Gambians, we have this fear. This government is not communicating. Let me tell you, honestly, I'm not a good reader. Okay, I read ABC, Mr. Jang. I read ABC. If you give me big words, I will run out and go get the dictionary. The um the president's press not the information minister. What is
The
his name again?
spokesperson of the government.
Sankare. Sankare, yeah.
Sankara does not go to the media and speak to me in the language I will understand. He will write this paper. I mean, the paper will say cantangaros, these big old words, and we cannot understand it. It's a problem to us. We just want somebody to communicate with us. If I'm in Fonyi actually right now, I would be carrying my children with me, running, trying to hide. Okay? But how can we depend with this government? How can we depend on them again?
I think I've said this over and over and over. One of the key weaknesses of this government is having a strategic communication unit that speaks for the government in a very simple, direct, and assertive way. Because communication also, especially with regards to government, you need to be assertive.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be clear and direct to the point. There is nothing like writing a whole article and calling it a press release.
Yes.
For me, I think sometimes it's good to issue out press releases, but the most important thing is like going out there on the media and talking to people in the language and manners in which they can understand simply and relate to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that has been a problem for this government since 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope with a new mandate,
Mm-hmm.
Barrow is able to identify that and know that communication is key.
Mm-hmm.
You see, rumors may not be true,
Mm-hmm.
but if rumors keep persisting and are not denied with facts,
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, it becomes the truth to the listening ear. And that is what has been happening since 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to say, I have nothing against journalism in Gambia, but I think since 2016 also, we have so many people that have gone into journalism and they're actually not journalists.
Okay.
I can understand, I can relate, citizen journalism happens, but when you have media houses who are registered and established as a media houses, bringing in people who have nothing, no education, no experience, no training on journalism, I think they are doing disservice to the job.
Dabakh, let me say something. I'm going to disagree with you there. If you leave people in the dark, you let them think or just gamble around what is going on, things will come out that are not right. What is wrong for somebody just to stand on the media and said, hey, this is what I wrote as a press release, but I'm going to say it in Mandinka, I'm going to say it in Fula, I'm going to say it in Karoninka, I'm going to say it in Jola, I'm going to say it in Manjawa, I'm going to say it in this.
Yeah, but that is why I said one of the biggest challenges, I've already acknowledged that communication is a weakness for this government.
Right.
But the truth also is we have a lot of people who claim to be journalists. They are not journalists. You know, they have their own political lineage and parties that they support, and that is very clear. Okay. So most of the information they give out, they make it in a way that even if it is 1%, they will add it to 1,000,000%. And they make it very serious to the point, like the layman who is out there, my grandmother in the village, when they listen to it, the fear that you are putting in those people is not actually worth it. You understand? Because we have to, when we talk about national issues, for me, that's the way I see it. I don't care how anybody feels or what you think about me. Mm-hmm. I speak my truth, and that's where I'm going to stand. It doesn't matter even if the whole nation are against me. It doesn't shake me. But I know one thing is, the truth will always last. You see, the issue that is happening in Gambia since 2016 up to date, it's true we are trying to bring about democracy, and I don't know who is advising Barrow about this legacy issue and all this stuff. But you see, leadership comes with very difficult decisions that you have to make. As a leader, you cannot please everybody because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself cannot please everybody. What is important and fundamental is do the right thing that you think is in the interest of the general Gambians. Everybody will not be satisfied because there are certain people, even if you build a highway of Sano, they will still criticize it. You have some people, when you dance on water, they say you are putting dust on my face. If you dance on dust, they say you are pouring water on my face. So you cannot just, as a leader, it's important you listen to them. But there are certain critics, for me, is just baseless. So those people, you shouldn't waste your time on those things. So what needs to happen is, Sankara, I think, is still, I have been following him for a very long time, since the time of the struggle and all that stuff. But I think he still sees himself as the journalist Sankara when he writes his press releases.
This last one that he wrote, I forgot the word. There's a word there. I will look at it while we are on this show.
Cantangaros.
Get me down, put me up.
That is why I said, you see, Barrow needs to look at this.
I'm just kidding. He did not put Cantangaros there.
There's nothing wrong even if the state can even hire a PR company, because a lot of governments do that around the world. They hire a PR company that is purely based on PR. That's their job. And they'll be doing PR jobs for the government, both nationally and internationally. And that's where I have an issue with, I disagree a little bit with Bakary with regards to signing a security pact with Senegal and going into parliament. Because when, you see, George Bush went to Iraq. In the American Constitution, before you declare war, you need to go to the representatives and seek their approval. But you see, he didn't do that, because you know why? There are certain security, because when you go there, these people are politicians. There are certain questions that they will ask. And because of national security, you cannot lay that at the floor of the National Assembly. And when you refuse to answer those questions, people will be speculating, oh, they are hiding something, they are doing this. But they are not hiding anything. They are doing it because it will expose, for example, today, if you go to the National Assembly and they ask about the kind of weaponry that the Gambia National Army has, the number of men that the Gambia National Army has, how many generals, what kind of trainings do they have? When you lay out those things on public, you are exposing your military strength and weaknesses out there for your opponents to use and capitalize. So people need to understand, when it comes to national security, like I said, it's on a need-to-know basis. Because me, as somebody who is not working in government, I'm not a security expert, I'm not a soldier. My primary responsibility is to make sure that I can go to bed, wake up in the morning, go to work. My assets are secure. My life is secure.
Can I come in, please?
Mr. Ba, before you come, let me talk to the community. I'm about to open the line. It's your show, but I spend a lot of time with them. I'm about to open the line. If you can look below your screen there, it's +16783900539. Please, when you call, do not stay on the phone. And we demand respect. I have seen people texting words here that are not, they are not even polite. Please don't do that. You are too grown for me to block you. Oh, God have mercy. So, Mr. Ba, go ahead. I will open the line so we can have a conversation with the whole nation. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Again, thank you to Brother Dabakh and Jeng. It's a discussion, and I'm learning and I'm picking up things from them. But let's just clarify certain things. I have so many things in my head to say, I don't even know where to start from. Communication has been an issue of this government since 2016. And you would have expected and told by now they have at least tried and fix that part, because communication is not just passing information, but it also shows leadership, it also brings stability, and it can also reassure the citizenry. When this incident of Fonyi happened, Macky Sall tweeted something, extending his condolence to the Senegalese forces that lost their lives. So information is key. I'll cite an example which is kind of related to the Gambia. And that's where I say communication is key, leadership is very important. Because if you got a leadership that cannot communicate very well to its citizenry, it brings what Dabakh has just tried to say here. It brings a lot of rumors, it brings a lot of uncertainty. And if you get a leader that can effectively and appropriately communicate to its citizens, that leader becomes effective. During the impasse, we had a crisis in the Gambia, which was far significant than any crisis we faced in the last 6 years. But there was a spokesperson for the coalition. And I'm not making this up. During that time, every Gambian would be saying, what did this individual have said? Because when that individual comes and speak, Gambian listens.
Just mention it. Say
And,
Halifa.
Honorable Halifa Sallah.
And
Yes.
Gambians relate to him. Yeah, that's Halifa Sallah. That shows you leadership, and that shows you clear communication. And this is the problem we had with this government. Communication is a problem. And I scratch my head sometimes when I see some of Sankare's writings, because to be quite honest, I'm a Fulaga. I know about Lachire Kedam. I mean, certain words, it just gives me migraine.
I'm telling you, Katangaros.
Yeah. Now, coming back to the issue of this agreement, look, in every democracy, the democracy is based on one fundamental principle, which is the Constitution. The president holds the Holy Quran and swears on the Constitution. Yes, in security, there are certain things that you can reveal to the public. But even in certain hearings, like in parliaments, there is certain things that you say, look, this is a matter of national security. We can't reveal it on camera. But key individuals, for let's say for subcommittees in that parliament, it happens in the Gambia, it happens in the UK, it happens in the US, they would have a subcommittee that deals with security matters. And some of these agreements, these ministers and even the president can reveal that to those people, because those people have sworn into a secrecy, an oath of secrecy. They're not like me and you sitting here in the public. But the problem with this agreement, even those people that should be accorded that due constitutional mandate has not been given that. So we cannot play with that part of it. What is wrong is wrong. The Senegalese contingency being in Senegal, whether it's a matter of national security or not, it should have had a framework which can limit what is out to the public and what is not out to the public. But the problem we have is there is nothing of that that has gone through parliament, and that is unconstitutional. The other part I want to make really clear again is about this, how do you call them again? This cabinet issue. What's the name for that cabinet again?
Caretaker.
Please help me. Caretaker thingy. Again, I'm not a constitutional expert. It's wrong. Okay, let me cite. I mean, I've did a bit of my research here. I think the government has withdrawn that. Now, here it reads, Section 71(4). The presidents assume the office, the ministers, Section 71, subsection 4. When the president assumes office, the position of ministers becomes vacant. That is the constitution position. If the president wants to avoid ministers occupying positions unconstitutional, he had to swear them. So when Barrow swore in on the 19th, all those ministers that were holding ministerial positions, their positions were vacant because they needed to renew their oath of office. And I think the only one that didn't do it now, he was on national duty, was the sports minister. So this caretaker business or whatever, yes, Barrow can play politics in it, but again, we should be guided by what the Constitution says. When the president takes oath of office, until he swears his parliament again, they are not ministers. And hence why that was the need of doing that. And again, this confusion could have been easily avoided by clearly communicating to the people. And I keep saying this, Barrow is blessed. I'm not a big fan of him, but Barrow speaks Mandinka, Wolof, Fula, Sarahule. You know, sometimes he needs to do the work himself. As a leader, sometimes you can delegate, but you are accountable and you are responsible. So some of this problem of communication that they had, Barrow himself can face the media and speak to us in Wolof. Most Gambians speak Wolof. Speak to us in Mandinka. Most Gambians speak in Mandinka. That would cut out this rumor, that would cut out this uncertainty, and that would also strengthen his leadership. But unfortunately, it's 5 years, it's not happening. I hope it happens in his next 5 years.
Okay. So, Mr. Jeng, before you chip in or Dabakh respond, this discussion, I promised Gambians that I will open the line. Is their discussion? I don't know where the noise is coming from. Yeah, let me open the line a little bit for others. Hello, caller. Hello, caller. Todi Madu. any language. Mr. Fadia. Bismillah, mbe kachala kacha kumari ba ila call kumari ba.
We are not hearing him. We are not hearing him.
Yeah.
You cannot hear him?
No.
Okay. Hold on. What is it about it? Alim Batugang. I don't know why I have this issue with this. Okay. Let me do this. Fadia, go ahead. Ngaji be fo ke be mo ela no.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Yeah, okay, Moile.
Okay. We contact Dabakh Malick Sulayman Jeng, former officer, police control. And then Mr. Bakary Bah, this is another fuller man talking about luxury here. Allah program is very, very, very important. But coming out from Yamindro, I mean, the communication, everybody is speaking English. As if we are back in Fanang, we go to the local language, so the African Gambians would understand because a problem when you make it the discussion, the topic of discussion happen in Foni. And in Foni right now, in local language would help them a lot to understand the situation of Menke. The president's office, it all man finti purka call Senegal the Molla. But it is very important argument for, and I believe coming Bakary Afunyame, unilateral or bilateral relationship make with any country without going to the assembly. That is what is stated clearly. Clearly at the constitution. So Munatina President to make his own decisions without consulting the Gambians, because Parliament also member all those people representing people. They are the ones that are representing us there. So he needs to go there and because make a problem or you will get a sign. That is, if you make the decision on your own, this is exactly what is going to happen. Under no circumstances, the Senegalese will allow to use the Gambian soil for Qatar to attack these rebels. These rebels were there since 1982. Never a time inside Gambia can trouble make it. So we've been dealing with this for how many years? This is a problem between Senegalese themselves. This is their internal issue. So we have to go there with our interest. But this is not our interest. Okay? You see all those border countries, border villages, border today, they all fled. So even the government are suffering in this fight. So Senegalese, so they know how to get to their people. Let them go through Bignona and other areas. But in Arab Baronyanta stop and the border, the border between Gambia and Casamance is only in Fon. If you go to Manduar area, there's a border. If you go to Katong area, there's a border. If you go to Kalafur, which is Jara area, there's borders everywhere. Why Fon? Because President Jammeh that is wrong. It's totally wrong. And if they would put their enforcement through that area again, and I would say this, and I will say this for everybody to know, if they reinforce and put Senegalese soldiers through Foni again, people will rise up against them, and President will control Lola. All of you there at the Holomogan at the hair. So this is the time when the president has to come out. I told him for Minister of Defense, which is Sheikh Omar Faye, who understand what is going on. This is not fair, and this is about Gambia. In Natal for rebel, they mount a checkpoint inside Gambian soil.
Exactly.
So, and that is very wrong. This is not working, and it's not working. And then let them not use Gambia as a ticking point. Rebel on the attack. And the problem let us not do that, because Gambia, the problem also between Gambia and Senegal, we always run to phone. We have to understand that. It happened here in 1981, and no for a new border very close. We always Senegal always close our borders. Always. And the near can cut in Casamas. So we should not jeopardize that relationship. We're not supposed to allow that. Macky Sall, whatever he has in his political agenda, Adama Barrow, Macky Sall, now I'm going to use you to attack these rebels through my border. I think that is totally wrong. And Nyanta stop they have to come out and say something. If not, people will rise up and it's going to be too late.
Thank you. Thank you, Fadia. Mr. Jeng.
Yes.
Yeah, well, you heard what Fadia said. I'm gonna.
Yes, I heard what he said. I mean for ako kasamas ning.
You can speak Wolof if you want to. You can
no,
speak.
I'll let me speak in Mandinka. And kasamas aning Senegal rebellion ako kabring 1982 andung gal bukananung kadung into the Gambia. Okay, saying the question is munatina saying ikana into the Gambia. Since all those years ibuka woke munatina saying ikana. Probably the most obvious question is wato timber trading atenunje. But it's saying because timber trading bije and why Fonyi because forest is closer to Fonyi than Katong or the other places I mean for border places all. So timber abijele, like I said initially, Nadiamoto, timber trading near Jube. Senegal civilian or businessman or ye interest soto jele. Ikabaluala. Gambia businessman or dol ibije ikabaluala. So government official ol fanan both Gambia and Senegal ika benefit jele. Rebel ol fanan ka benefit jele. So because imake through the right channel, ika smuggle illegally, so both governments have to check. So saying purkawo check wole atinna, border control of border officer will case stop. And generally ngalonko smuggler ni custom officer ya posu jama if they are armed they would try to protect themselves and they would open fire. And nyinu manke just smuggler sol nyin mu rebelolti. So kom nga fo nyameng if at all Sierra Leonean soldier rolle benung kasa basing in Casamas or Ghanaian lebe basing nung in Casamas, rebelol bajelako, these are not Senegalese, these are not people fighting us, but they are here to control the borders.
Okay.
But in Senegal, Hani will be purka border in control. They would see them as people pursuing them. So war purka fight create is easier.
Okay.
So this is not just Senegal and Gambian issue. Senegal, Gambia, and Bissau, these three governments need to sit and strategize illegal timber trade control lanyaming, so that they can legalize it in a way wherein every participant would benefit legally instead of furkata through the back door or programmable create. That's my understanding on that.
Thank you, Mr. Jeng. We have another caller. Nga caller do soto jang. Caller Todi Madu. Bismillah. Ibrimentina.
We can hear.
You can hear him?
No.
You cannot hear him?
He needs to speak louder.
Diamo back because nga technical issue la soto jang at the back. Can you hear?
I'm hearing him, but Aladiamo is very low.
That's better.
Okay,
it's
that's
better.
Yeah.
That's better.
Better. Yeah, they're hearing you. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Binto. Alhamdulillah, mbe kontona anira panelists mbe mo be kontona. Da fahamla. And mbe dan lamina So Ndela Jerodo, security issue. If probably you should have invited people who have experience about security issue and experts of how to resolve it. I'm somebody who always respect Dabakh on the way he analyzes things, but for today it is off the topic to be connected enough. This issue, let me start with Atela Foroto. Yeah, I agree with him 100%. When we were jubilating in 2016, we didn't think of what will happen next. The repercussion will be killer. Yeah, but I concur with him 100%. But the problem is, after these people from the coalition, my belief is the whole coalition government, because immediately, Jammeh sometimes will come and before I come ask the Gambia
hani bari nga ñu topi do kacha nga continue ñu do 2016
these Senegalese troops are not part of the economic soldiers. They are family.
Can you hear him?
I'm a foreign serviceman. I served with the Gambia military for 7 good years. They are family. And I know what I'm about to tell you. The P is why the Senegalese people were using politically to blame Jammeh for the cement there, because what was the problem is the me Kegan side to use Gambia as their fire play to MFDC attack. In afternoon, we'll let Jammeh right there because I can the whole Ghana's in Gambia back in so they now start on that politically go Jammeh stay in co at the new cement to Yakam. But could you remember very in 2009? Jumani Kilipura and a cool negotiated was the no jam in other Jamaica, in the more jam in a year. And secondly, what is happening in Funi? Let's not forget that we have many Funi they are servicemen, so both soldiers and other security forces. Most of them in Gold and Kamfa they are leaving the army because of the undermining us.
Okay.
The other thing, he was telling about this MFDC thing called MFDC. There are 2 split groups. Let them understand that. At the side of Salif Sadio,
bro kana MFDC la ko kacha please.
No, because the problem is what causes MFDC for the Leon of the King again. As a Kano, I form no in Foni because of the King and no Foni, they will be the member of service manual. It will be very because I'm coming from Mimbe King and I'm not going to into MFDC. When we tell a program, I can tell a program.
Okay. Okay.
Why I'm bringing that issue for us to understand what is happening. Yes, in terms of security, let me tell you, because I'm the Obama Senegalese. Senegalese move area with Senegalese move area based on interest.
Okay. 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 Thank you. All right. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Ngamodolu fanalso. Nali ajengamulo ketendoro. You let me know if you can hear or not. I have an issue at the back end. We have a very important call.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello, caller.
Yes,
Alaikum salam. Todi Mado. Baro Birimintin.
Sometimes coming emotional multa kacha kon ngambira yo bare mbal be to mo ni la miro ko bare do fay to ko nyam ya look out for like why so why so you know personally not for you and I was so timber I have some experience in that. You were now more than so they are on economic rules and regulations. So I understand. I'm going to come what can I do so you're not Gale so you're from Senegal. I think people have to understand this very clearly. Gambian Grand I don't any now happen to blood. Because for the only same day, number one, culture should at least be compatible with base and another. It's very important. And communication wise. So what economic even more choose the mini bit of Gambia. Number one, so you me and Gambia, West Africa, meaning Gambia culture Mukrindi, everything Mukrindi, when Senegal. So greetings in the number of what I don't even understand. That protocol can slow. Okay, I agree. Mr. Poketa, Gambian government stand on ECOWAS, yeah, for you. So you're not in Mania. Let's not take it as Senegal. Okay? All right. Next week, you're going to they come in for the like this, Muna Nemanta Kato, California, here and there. Yes. Let us be honest. You know, border wise, Miango is very open, easy access to Gambia, over California, into California. Okay, phone Pondali. So I know that areas. I'm green in Gambia in Tanzania. Jungle Sol in build this we don't know where they are. Most likely, they are in the security wise. Those are the areas more focus on them. And anybody like Ghanaian they can easily manipulate the Ghanaian. But you have to go, culture, you will know they can easily secure. Can analysis for the security men is what they look at.
Thank you.
MDC, yelling social media, where whosoever battle population, even more popular than Yame, no fun calculate. But in Ningatari protocol, Naman Diatonia, Gambian and to complain that state wise, ECOWAS, but we'll break it in me and give me a social media. No.
Okay.
I'm a man for sarcasm.
Okay.
Forest officers should control anything that is entering Banjo.
Okay.
Maybe the security check is danger to the state.
Okay.
Forest officer checkpoint, then the forest officer should do his job. Does it have the regular royalties, license, all these things? If they are not clear, then we'll let them stop that. And the forestry officer, there are protocols. You might write to the Kakolo. But you can go to the police, you can do a lot of things. So, motor can see it. Motor can find the
okay.
So, the border coding Senegal, they are under the jurisdiction of economic.
Okay.
Under the jurisdiction of Senegal at that moment.
Okay.
Under the jurisdiction of the Gambia.
Okay. Thank you.
So I don't know Kachala. Kakal Kuli emotional food for you go so your two.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Baro. Thank you. Thank you, Mbekola Dotala. I have call cake and I'm from Gambia. About try come back. Caller. 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 Diam Nantodi Mado.
Mr. Damfa, I'm from the Gambia.
Yeah, please. Ibrimintin nan Damfa. I'm all be la moikan.
Okay. The video program or the Dabakh.
Alkamoel.
One of your panelists, Mr. Bamba, comment Labake. But I think Daba is completely lost on the topic.
Okay.
Because I certain issues for that it is not how it works. Okay, because what is RIM for?
Ite go ahead because ninte ngana may kole la fa ninte diam te dorabe loud la bak ite de.
In all post-conflict countries, a foundation or a sort of. That foundation is normally based on peace accords. Okay. Two, Interpol mentioned an bilateral relationship. Interpol doesn't have the authority from UK to come to the Gambian and effect an arrest on me. They have to coordinate with the Gambian Interpol securities. Two, the bilateral relationship, Adin Sulayman Jeng emphasized, that is not how it works. Dunia security officers already before, and we are very much concerned about our country.
Okay.
Bilateral relationship, that bilateral relationship is natural, between countries. Foreign forces policing in a foreign land, like Senegalese I understand they are not part of ECOMIC. Okay, why are they not allocating? Why are they not, coordinating with our own securities in conducting checks in Foni? Because when it comes to arrest, it's only the Gambian securities that are mandated under our laws to arrest. Now, these people, if they are arresting, fundamentally is wrong. Two, I think our president is very flexible. He had trusted people, they call themselves security experts when they are not fully delivering, because he has no security idea. They are not giving him the right advice.
Okay.
The so-called expert. Because Ninata Nula checkpoint from la position in Puya is at a 10. Weekly we're hearing accidents at that checkpoint. It's not an ideal position. Two, if those forces are coordinating with CAFT or with the PIU, I think it's going to remedy a lot of issues. The answer they gave was about the mandate of this mission. The goal was to restore democracy in this country. Then what is because he went into details. What is the mandate of the troops then? Because mission on Tombeka, which is called confidence building and capacity building patrols. If these economic forces are patrolling with our Gambian soldiers in the state, then never met across with them with our Gambian securities.
Okay.
Now, the mentality most Gambian only mention our soldiers are useless, which is virtually wrong. It's not even possible.
Okay.
Now, if these economic soldiers are having patrols, which is called confidence building patrol with our Gambian army, then the Gambian citizens will regain the lost trust they have in our soldiers.
Okay.
It's not happening.
Thank you.
Based on bilateral relationship, foreign forces will cataract money a checkpoint without the host country with security. Well, this is my contribution. But if I'm wrong, let Suleiman correct me.
Thank you.
Please.
Thank you. Thank you, brother.
All right.
Thank you. We appreciate the caller from the Gambia. Hold on. There's this caller I'm trying to pick up. I think But you had the callers. But you also had the callers. Go ahead while I mute here.
I wanted to say something before I
go on, Dabakh.
Yeah, first and foremost, among the two callers, I think they've said something that concerns me. One, no, I'm not wrestling. You know, Binto, when we speak about Gambia, I think we need to be very honest with ourselves.
Okay, Dabakh, I want you to hold on to that. Let me get this caller.
Okay.
You can answer all of it again. Caller?
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for an excellent program with your panelists. I've been following the program.
That's Ben Suarez. Suleiman.
Yeah, it's Ben Suarez.
And
I don't say there are many aspects that have been raised which are facts, but some of those facts I think are not relevant to, they are out of context of what is happening now. Or the facts are limited to what is happening now. I think we have to establish something first. anything that happens should be legal. Anything that happens within the country should be within our constitution. Anything that happens in our country should not undermine our sovereignty and should not undermine the security, in fact, of this country. Let me elaborate. What this means is, the president cannot bring foreign forces. We have seen that wherever it happens, it ends up in disaster. The same thing happened with Jawara bringing the Nigerians without the approval of the people, and the people are represented by parliament. And we also, and what if the Nigerian presence undermined the security of the country, for that matter, and we have seen where it ended up. And I know that countries do have other foreign troops based, but when that happens, they are not involved in domestic matters. They are doing that based on, and again, that mandate they take it from parliament. Be it soldiers based in Germany, be it soldiers based in Japan or anywhere else, they have to go according to mandate, and that mandate cannot infringe the rights of the citizens, cannot infringe the laws of that country. They have to go by that mandate. Now let's look at the Gambia now. What is happening is a bilateral agreement between two presidents, and now the Gambians don't really know why the reason for them. Most of the people talking are just speculating. They have not seen any document to say that this is the agreement why Senegalese troops are in Fonyi. Why have Senegalese troops separately? We already have economic for the purpose. For what? And that should be limited. You cannot have an open-ended support. It's not sustainable. No, we cannot have economic in the country forever. As a government, that's why we have a government. So the government should work in a way so that we can have an exit strategy. Gambians will know when ECOMOG is going to leave, because there's an exit strategy. ABC is done, security reform is done, 5 years to protect with democracy. We went into 5 years full term, and we have elections. Everything is completely peaceful, but still no Gambian can tell you when ECOMOG is going to leave the country. And the danger about this is, ECOMOG can leave the country tomorrow without us determining that. And we are not ready. We don't have an exit strategy. Then we are in trouble, because we cannot determine how long. Yes, we are part of what determine, but something might happen in Mali, something might happen in Senegal, something might happen somewhere else, and they pull their troops. What are we going to do? As a sovereign nation, we should have something in place. That's why this thing is an interim measure. It's an emergency measure. Because of something has happened, and through the bilateral or the multilateral relationship we have, signatory to ECOWAS and other things, this thing happened. Now, it was meant to be for a time, and that thing should be managed. It's not managed. The other thing we have to realize here is, Gambian army soldiers, they are over 77,000. The soldiers are over 7,000, and most of them, and the army acts itself, have been proven. International, in international peacekeeping, they are still going out international peacekeeping, and they've been coming with merit. And we cannot stand to say that we continue after 5 years. We cannot still trust the armed forces. Then the problem should be the leadership. We cannot blame the armed forces for that. What have they not done to ensure that they have trust? Trust has to be built. What confidence measures have they taken to trust the armed forces? And they have a reform. And what the reform should do, there should be metrics used to determine. If you don't measure something, you don't know the outcome of it. There should be metrics to determine what the performance of the armed forces. Okay, what the reforms are. The reforms are to be led. There are certain people who lead the reforms. They cannot tell us, oh, we're doing the reform after 5 years. But what tangible results do we have? When are we going to finish this reform? Or when would it be safe enough to give these people duties? Now, imagine we have Gambian contingent, Gambian forces in Fonyi. Now, Gambian forces are standing back, and something is happening in their presence. Now they don't have what's their mandate? Why do we have an army? Now, if they stand back there, it's demoralizing them. It's demoralizing them. We should understand this, and this thing is not going to our favor. It's not providing security for us. And let's ask ourselves, it does not make sense to have Senegalese troops in the Gambia in Fonyi to say that they're protecting some. It's not true. Gambia, I can challenge any security personnel to tell me what tactical advantage would they have to have a fourth operational base in an insurgency. This is not a conventional warfare. The deployment of Japan and other things are for conventional warfare. In an insurgency about winning the hearts and minds of the people. The physical force comes last. You have a lot of mechanism you put in place before physical force. And I want one part of that is, if we look at the issue, we are talking about timber. We can deal with the timber. Why do we allow to export timber from the Gambia? We don't have timber to export. Stop the export of timber and you see whether the rebels will have resources. The resources would start to doing it. If there's resources to doing it, that's one way of fighting. That's why you have the anti-money laundering laws tightened to fight terrorism. These are the first thing they did to start them off the resources. Then you go after another thing. The other thing you take away from them, we have to be very careful. You know, something has happened that Yaya Jammeh did. Yaya Jammeh have made people believe that the entire Fonyi were with him or whatever it is. Yaya Jammeh have kind of divided even with the intellectual class to believe there's something toxic about Fonyi and the people from Fonyi. Now, what we do, anything we do, we look at Fonyi differently. Fonyi is not different from any region in the Gambia. You cannot tell me that there's any region which is more, which should be, more vulnerable, or Fonyi is more vulnerable to another region. That's not true. Every corner of the Gambia you cross, I tell you, 10 miles you'll be inside Senegal. But let's look at it here. What Yaya Jammeh did was, anything that happened, you see, this rebellion started before Yaya Jammeh coming to government. In the First Republic, we dealt with it. What Yaya Jammeh did was, Yaya Jammeh used the rebellion as a means to keep the Senegalese busy, as a means of a proxy, what we call a proxy war. And obviously to benefit him and his regime. But it was not to benefit the Gambian people, and it was not to benefit Casamas and Jolas or anybody else.
Okay.
It was for his own benefit.
Can I come in quickly and respond to Tom before I forget?
Remedy that.
Yeah.
And that damage. And people saying that Fonyi have electricity free. That's not true. People are conflicting Kanilai and Fonyi.
Thank you.
It's a complete, it's bigger than Kanilai.
Okay.
Kanilai was a hamlet. Yaya Jammeh lived in Kanilai. If Yaya Jammeh can generate electricity, what you generate, if you don't distribute it, you still lose it. Now, Yaya Jammeh might electrify most corners of Kanilai because his own personal security. Does not mean that he's doing it for this thing. Yaya Jammeh was even in bad blood with certain families within Kanilai.
Thank you.
We have to understand that it was not entirely Fonyi benefiting or anything else. Just as the other regions of Gambia or other families in Gambia have benefited directly from Yaya Jammeh. That does not mean that the entire families of those people benefit from Yaya Jammeh. Now, we should deal with this Yaya Jammeh. It's very sensitive.
Thank you.
Fonyi, as any other region, should be empowered based on the resources they generate or resources we generate to ensure that the people of Fonyi would be jealous of their peace and tranquility, and they will safeguard it. That's how you fight insurgency. Insurgency is about hearts and minds of the people. But as a country, it's about sovereignty. Sovereignty is guarded not only by the physical boundaries, but again by laws. And those laws have to be respected.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Bukoto. Thank you. Okay.
Bindo,
We'll
can I come in before I leave?
Mr. Jang, hold on. Dabakh, go ahead.
Yeah, first and foremost, I think I will respond to two things that were raised, one by two previous callers and one by Brother Sol. The first caller said about, I don't live in Casamas, but I did intensive research about the issue of Casamas for a very long time. And what a lot of people don't know also, I was born in Nyomi, but I have a family relations both in Fonyi and Casamas. But the truth is, what is not important. What is important is Jammeh's open support for the rebels was clear. That nobody can deny it. They can say whatever they want to say. This present faction led by Salif Sadio was in the Gambia under state protection during Jammeh's time, and every Gambian knows that. Why was Jammeh doing that if he has no direct influence or direct collaboration with the rebels? Like Saul said, it extended even to Guinea-Bissau. We can all remember General Bubu Nacho, the drug kingpin who was arrested by the American forces in the international waters. He was resident in Gambia in Brusubi under state protection, given a house by the Gambia government, but also protected by Gambian security personnel. Until the time when he escaped, those guys who were given to him, who were meant to protect him, were arrested. These are facts, man. I don't speak on speculation or hearsay. I speak based on facts. These are things that have happened in Gambia, and nobody can deny that it happened. The issue is, I had brother Saul talk, but I think Sulayman Bensouare also forgot. 2 weeks before elections, the Senegalese forces, marine forces, came into the Gambian waters and arrested people who were trading drugs. Saul did a program and he applauded that. That was not Senegal invading our national sovereignty. You see, let them not fool Gambia. Gambia is a sovereign state and nothing can change that. And up to today, from independence to date, Gambia has been a sovereign state because Gambia has a national assembly. We vote our budget, we make laws. Senegal does not make laws for Gambia. The truth is, we will have, it doesn't matter which president comes in Gambia. They must have a very good relationship with any president that happens to be in Senegal. Because of the way Gambia and Senegal is strategically located. But that does not mean Gambia is giving out our sovereignty to Senegal. No. All those things Gambia was doing during Wadi's time or Abdou Diouf's time, Gambia was not doing it in the interest of Gambia. Gambia was doing it because of his own personal interest. Look, I've been engaged in business between Gambia and Senegal for over 15 years. And I know business people in Gambia are there. You can go and do a box pop and talk to them. The challenges that people used to have transporting goods either from Gambia into Senegal or from Senegal into Gambia because of the expense of transportation. But today, the Senegambia bridge has eased that. It makes it easy for both Gambians and Senegalese and even Malians and other nationalities. And people need to understand that Trans-Gambia bridge is not a project of Senegal. That is a project of the whole of ECOWAS and Africa, because you have this after the Africa Free Trade Zone, and they are trying to create a transportation link that would link the whole of Africa, ECOWAS especially. So that is the importance of that bridge. So that bridge is not a project of Senegal, and it was not funded by Senegal.
Dabakh, sorry, in fact, you've given a good name to the bridge, but that's not the actual name of the bridge. That itself says a lot, because the bridge should be called the Trans-Gambia Bridge, but it's called Senegambia Bridge. So I just wanted to make that point.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The name in Senegambia. You see, Senegal and Gambia, God created us this way, and there's nothing that people can do to change that. You understand? Okay. So for me, calling it Trans-Gambia or Senegambia has no significance.
Before you leave, let Jeng also respond so you can hear what his response will be.
Yeah. I think I want to pick on two things from Mr. Suare. Mm-hmm. You know, he said we need to trust our soldiers. Mm-hmm. We need to trust them. But you know, trust is earned. It's not given, you have to earn it. Now, if you look, when Jammeh was there, almost all of us were calling on our soldiers to step up, and they refused. They refused to step up. So that's why ECOMIC had to come in. And when ECOMIC came in, we all saw them pressing up for the ECOMIC soldiers. Mm-hmm. For me, as a security personnel, that is subduing yourself to a foreign troop. It means you are telling the foreign troop, you are superior to me, you are more powerful. Mm-hmm. So they have inadvertently, they've surrendered themselves to the ECOMIC. Mm-hmm. So when they failed to stand up or to step up when we needed them, and then when we requested for foreign troops to come in, those people come in, they surrender to those people too. So how can you trust such people? I wouldn't trust them. if I were President Barrow, until I completely overhaul, like it was picked by some of our colleagues, panelists, that there are still others who have been adversely mentioned. They're still in the uniform. So those people, you cannot say I would trust these people because they've been here for 5 years. They can be there for 10 years, but because they have not earned the trust for them to be given that national responsibility, so you cannot. When it comes to security and governance, I believe you have to be nasty to be nice. Sometimes you just don't say things to please people. You say things that is real, and then that is factual. Whether it goes down with people, it settles with them, fair enough. If it doesn't settle with them, it's their bread and butter. But as long as you know this is the fact and this is what is right, we don't politicize things. We have to say them the way they are. And to say Fonyi is just like any other village or division or constituents in the Gambia is a blatant lie. Why is it that it's always Fonyi and not Basse and not Gunjur and not Nyomi? So that alone signifies that Fonyi is very peculiar. So to dismiss the fact that Fonyi is just like is also just blasphemous is not true. Because we know by proxy of Fonyi to Casamas gives it that easy route to transport that illegal timber trade. And I agree with him that yes, we need government need to tighten that. That's why I said at the beginning, and I still emphasize that all the 3 states need to sit and strategize how they can control that illegal timber trade. As long as it is not controlled, the problem would still persist. Rebels would inco into Gambia, and Gambian soldiers might inco into the Casamas, and then the problem would still be there.
Thank you.
If that illegal timber trade is controlled, then we will see less of that, incursion. But until that is done, it's just going to be lip service, and it's not going to change.
Okay, Mr. Bah, go ahead, and I will take 2 more calls. Then we'll end the program. 2 more calls.
Cool.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm not trying to mount a defense here because they're both my good brothers, but Mr. Jeng said something very important here, which is trust needs to be earned, and it's 2 ways. I completely agree with that. But then again, we cannot cherry pick, or we cannot pick and choose who to trust or not to trust. All right? We trust our Gambia armed forces to send them to peacekeeping, right? That's a trust because they're going to represent us and do a peacekeeping. Now, Barrow trusts certain individuals within the army that are adversely even mentioned in the TRRC. And for me, that means Barrow is pick and choosing who to trust and who not to trust. Because his first security attaché, who ended up becoming our ADC, was someone who served under Jammeh. So again, how comes that person was trusted by Barrow but not the others? The current security advisor to the president, again, is someone who has been adversely mentioned in the TRRC, but still serving under Barrow and somehow also leading some of these security reforms. Yes, trust needs to be earned, but what Barrow is playing politics in those trust, because he's telling us Gambians, these are certain people that I can trust, or these are certain people that I don't trust, even though those people have been adversely mentioned in an area which I or Sulayman should not trust them. So the question is, why is he trusting the like of his current security advisor who has been adversely mentioned, but then he doesn't trust the same rank and file soldier who could
you're picking an individual against an army. There's a huge difference between the two.
It's a leadership. The guy advising security matter to our president, he's not an individual. This is a very powerful person we're talking about. He is the security advisor to the president. It's not just somebody you pick up from the street. So if Barrow can trust that guy, who has again been mentioned in the TRRC, then he doesn't have any means not to trust the other soldier. This is the point I'm driving at.
So in a nutshell, you are just telling me, if I don't trust the use of Nyanija, but I trust you, that means I'm compromising my trust.
No, that's different, Jen. Let me rephrase this. Barrow can appoint any ex-military or current military as his security advisor. Anyone, including you yourself. If Barrow appoint you as a security advisor, I would applaud that move. And it's a right move. But the problem I have is when we're saying about trust, the individual who is entrusted in advising our president when it comes to security matter is an individual that me, you, Bineto, Daba should have issues with. So is it a question of poor judgment, or is it just that trust is one-sided? That's my point.
Okay, so I'm gonna take one more caller here. Daba?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I totally agree with what Mr. Bah said, and I think I wrote an article in 2017, and the article was named "Fujame Pikiro Nyubari Nan Fadong," you know, and there I went in detail. Like, okay, we cannot. The TRRC people need to understand it's not a court of law that finds people guilty, but it gives us the opportunity to hear about the stories of people and what they went through. I'm not saying anything that is leveled against anybody at the TRRC is the fact, unless and until it is proven by a competent court of law under our jurisdiction. But what needs to happen is, I think it was important that when people are advancedly mentioned, government gives them indefinite leaves for them to go and sit down, not dismissed from service, but at least for them to go away, unless and until they go to the court and prove themselves innocent or guilty. For us to say this person is guilty of these crimes. But what is important is people need to understand one thing. And, you know, pre-elections, a lot of the security discussions, so Suleiman Ben Suarez is somebody that I respect and I follow a lot. Maybe he did not know me, but I know him very well because I think he has a family in London Corner. And when I was young, I think he and Suarez related. And originally, my mom comes from Medina Slimas and all that stuff. So, but sometimes I think also he's very much unfair with this government. Maybe because of his political thinking or his political lineage, which I have no issues with. But when it comes to national security, I think we need to be honest and we need to be open in our discussions. Because before the elections, when that drug catchment was made by the Senegalese forces in Gambian waters, everybody applauded that. They made it a headline news. Everybody was talking about it. And they said, Senegal is helping, they are even helping fighting crime in Gambia and all that stuff. So for
Daba,
me, the issue...
Daba, please hold on. Let me cut you off. Somebody want to say something before you leave. Caller?
Yes, hello?
Can you guys hear him? Todi Madu. Hello?
Yes, Sister Binto.
Yeah, Todi Madu. Okay, bismillah, every minute.
Yeah, Mambila Panavis will be definitely they are a very interesting program.
Can you hear him?
Yeah, maybe when he speaks a bit louder.
It can go lending your demand.
Yeah, so but like coming Dabakh Malick Call, there is something that's happening in Gambia. That's why economic Naraje. But there is something which happened to Miyajeko Yaya Jammeh change his mind. So then I don't trust this election process. You understand? New Kule Keta, economic Nara, only economic Shiga. But Kule Keta full finance sound of what yeah, so the Ibara could be of Fola, you are the Tafu, but we follow Keta, you are the Ofana Fola, so that people can understand. But I take a one side level. You understand? Okay, I come in for even America, they have a base in Germany. But those American soldiers in Germany, they are not interfering in Germany's internal matter. So these are two different things. You understand? They are not equal. One is Senegalese soldier only. One is between Gambia government and the Senegalese government. You understand? They are trying to enter from Harafako. It enter a border to J4. They can stay there, but you look at one harass. But for 5 years, people have been complaining about these Senegalese soldiers. It's a Gambian oil treat Yami. Yeah, for 22 years. Have you ever heard of the Senegalese military, it never happened for 22 years. But why now? Why now? So money and the companion in Gala will follow. Okay, my second point is no play more with la Gambia National Army. Because he told Fana Yabadi if I'm all Fana. Nia in Beregula. Kabita in your Kiona. You can see the press of Kilway. It's a big Karaway. Because of is there who is leading you to pass it to tell you to do this. You let Bango okay in your respect Sonola. So Gambia Army from Africa can they don't follow you if I. And then Gambia, to be honest with you, we need to be very careful about this customers issue. We need to be very careful about this customers issue.
Thank you. Thank you, Call. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, Mindo, let me just wrap up and then
caller.
let me just wrap up and
you go ahead and wrap up.
Anyway. Yeah, I think some of these people, what they fail to understand is like maybe he's following me for the first time. I've said this over and over and over. Me, I have no personal issues with Jammeh, but calling out the wrongs that he did, that is something that I will continue doing, and nobody is gonna stop me for that. I've said this. I said Jammeh has every right to challenge the election results. As per our constitution, nobody denied him that. But I said Jammeh shot himself on the foot when he deliberately refused to appoint Supreme Court judges because people like Lantombong were sentenced to death and they were about to appeal. He deliberately refused to do that because he does not want those people to appeal. So coincidentally, the election happened. He lost. He said he does not agree with the results. Now the only way he can challenge the result was to go to the Supreme Court, and there was no quorum for the Supreme Court to sit. So that is not the fault of Gambians. That is not the fault of anybody but Jammeh himself. And two, where I disagree with Jammeh is Jammeh has no right to squash the election results. That's two. Three, he has no right to say the incumbent president was never going to be sworn. He can go and challenge the election results at the court. If he wins, then the courts will dismiss the election results and then fresh elections will be called out again. But him as somebody who competed in that election, he does not have that right. It's just this way, like if Barrow lost the election, this past election today, and said he does not agree with the election because he was cheated. Does he have the power to declare the election null and void? No. So the thing is, no matter how you support Jammeh or no matter how you disagree with Jammeh, the truth and the facts will remain to be the truth and the facts. Last and just to wrap up, you see, this issue of security, for me, people are mixing two things that is not in the same line with. Gambia as a country, we are sovereign, but we are not independent. When I say we are not independent, it's not like we did not get independent from British people. We did. But when I say independent, it's like the world is a global village and Gambia will continue to work with every country in this world. It doesn't matter which president is in the Gambia. Gambia, with all he's talking about the West, he was still going back to the West to seek for budget funding. You understand? So if he hated the West and everything that he was saying about, why was he accepting money for our budget, our national budget being funded by the Western countries? So for me, that was more of like a politician playing his politics. You understand? But the truth is, Gambia will continue to exist and other countries will continue to exist, but Gambia alone cannot do it. And we must be ready to work with other countries in the sub-region. And there is no other better country that we have so much in common with, more than Senegal. Yes, I agree. Whatever agreement that we have to do, we have to look at the interests of Gambia. But like I said, what is the interest of Gambia may be relative to the person who is talking about it. If I am an opponent of this government, you think I will say anything positive about this government because that is what we have seen exist since 1965. People who oppose the government of the day
will always criticize whatever that government does. But you cannot tell me everything that happened in this agreement is just negative things that have been happening. No. The truth is, let's ask the question, how many people are living in Fonyi? How many people claim are being harassed by these security officers that are stationed in Fonyi? You think you will just be working on your normal day, doing nothing? You are not engaged in timber trade or you are not engaged in cannabis trade and they will go after you? No, it doesn't. So, and also we need to look at what is happening today. Why 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, the issue of Casamas was not infiltrating into Gambia, even though maybe the ripple effect was affecting Gambia, because when there was war, a lot of these people from Casamas were migrating to the Gambia, and we know refugee camps were set up in Gambia, in Fonyi, in Gambia, where they were housed, and some people continue to live even in Gambia up to today. So what is important is we may have our disagreements, but when it comes to national security, for me, my belief is Gambia comes first. It doesn't matter our political differences. We must put that aside and support the government on the day and correct them when they are wrong, but stand with them soldier to soldier to make sure that issue of the timber trade is put to an end. And I think government needs to take responsibility and, put an ultimatum to that immediately. And anybody who is caught, they must be prosecuted and an example set. And that's the only way they're going to stop that, because that trade is going through Gambia and it's going through the port. So the government cannot say they don't know. They know. They definitely know. So, but there are people, business people, there are people within the security forces, there are people within government, there are people within civilians who are benefiting from this trade. And that's the reason why it's finding it very difficult for it to be stopped. And I think Adama Barrow needs to step up and stop it immediately. And I think that would lessen the, hostility that is existing between either the Senegalese forces or economic is not only in Fonyi, they are in Nyomi. But you don't hear them have altercation with the people of Nyomi. Instead, they are working together and they have a very good relationship. So the same thing could be replicated in Fonyi too.
Thank you.
But I believe, Barrow, no matter what people are talking about, don't let go of economic unless and until you are sure that the security sector reform is completed, the TRRC is implemented, and our forces are trained professionally for them to know how to act in a democracy. If you don't do that, trust me, there are certain things I don't want to say in public, but we will all come back and cry about it.
Thank you. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Have a great day. One more caller here. Caller, then I will let Jang and Ba wrap up.
Please, yeah.
Omar Ibrimintin and Katabake, we are wrapping up.
Okay, thank you very much. Bito, thank you very much for inviting me your panelists.
You came oil?
No, let him speak a bit.
They came up and contributed and one thing I would like the Gambian people to understand, let's always not judge anything. Something happened in our bank. So nimbe diamla na political ko da bondije because ndol Gambia katulun ko la mi ala ka fitu nuru wolu bank jamal le to ma no fo be fa am kan ba akul meta fenkel and people were blowing whistles ko hanga kul Gambia fenkel ka yere kam am na trying upon the other but ndol ba be ta kan ya ne politics because of money intoni te matara dula ke ya ne bring incidents happen in Faraba. Most of the Gambians we came out and condemned it. Amanyaka, found them. Then now happened to falling of Findi, Ghana, no, irrespective of for Nibe Silakili never Nimanda Dina Kilimba falling to call them now Findi now condemn. And Mr. Jeng, sorry to say so, but I come out for the Mianko, Ndemala, he should raise those two questions. For you think it's Kukoi and in Jame. It shouldn't say so because this and it is how many get a dual fee if it comes faring.
Among Kukoi Tofo, if I could remember. Oh no.
Okay.
Yeah, let's
these people are illegally at that place because Munekeda Nitola infection approved by parliament and it all agreement between the president and it all Cindy Jana.
Okay.
Thank you.
And
the second thing, Gambia soldiers, let me tell you one thing. Gambia soldiers are more professional than these people. Because let me tell you one thing. In Gambia army, it was France and Cameroon. Balberdi means lose round. Come in Gambia army, you are locked because the it is more far. Ni keso kana te bulu rek di keso mega anu Gambia no tara dawo da mission la 6 Gambia 84 Gambia amilo da fobi itara dawo da mission ka to kendo re satona andu ni wala kan wala ni medal kan ko e do ko kendo ke the TRC to ya Gambia soldier ol tata kede but few elements out of more than 7,000 soldiers of Gambia.
Okay.
But a few elements of it all down you blame the masses. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Tiloidia, thank you. Okay, Mr. Jeng.
Yes.
That was our last caller, Mr. Bah. I kept y'all. Oh my goodness. The discussion, if I should receive all these calls, we'll be here till tomorrow, but I can't. So we have to stop. You guys can wrap up. What advice do you have for Fonyi citizens, government?
Well, I think for the people of Fonyi, we got laws in the Gambia. And our courts are proven to be very competent. If they feel their rights have been, infringed by the government, they can take it to court and seek redress. And I believe the courts, would make competent judgment. And on the side of government, like the two things that I would say is like government need to be more communicative. They need to be talking more to people. They need to be giving people the right information. Because information is power. If you don't communicate, you are creating, an atmosphere where people can peddle rumor and misinformation. And once that continues going round, it might end up becoming, a half-baked truth. But if government comes out, I understand it's not every security, information that government needs to give to the public, but at least inform the people, give them the basic, reassure them. And that way they can be reassured, they can trust in the leadership. But if you don't communicate, you are creating, more confusion, more panic, etc. And then I also don't believe the economic needs to go now. The economic need to stay until the whole security sector reform is completed before they can let go. Because all those claiming that the economic must go are those that are against the government. So for them, whatever interest they have in economic going, that is up to them. But government should not, fall under pressure from these people calling out for economic to go, to let economic go. And on that note, I say goodbye. Thank you, Dabakh. It's been a pleasure. Mr. Bah, it's been a pleasure. And Bintu, thanks so much for hosting me. So, night. Thank you, everybody.
Night. Mr. Bah.
Thank you, Sister Benito, and also it was great having Brother Sulayman. I mean, you're the only one that can get away with having me on for more than 2.5 hours. In fact, I missed the kids' night bedtime thingy. But it's a national discussion, and it's not about drumming a drum. But sometimes when you come to a platform and people see you talking, they're like, "Oh, maybe it's just got an opinion." But people need to understand when you say security, it's not just about those people that wear the military camouflage or there is people that studies about security. There is people that studies about risk strategy and all that. And maybe Gambians should be proud of this. And we hosting the Commonwealth Games this year in Birmingham. We're expecting over 1 million spectators to these games. And I happen to be one of those writing the security strategy and implementing the security for those games. So when I'm talking about security, yes, I might not put on the camouflage, but even in wars, you got people that would make the strategy and would advise the generals and all that stuff. So I think this was the right topic for me to come and join based on my experience, my knowledge when it comes to security. Because when you say about security, it entails politics, it entails economic aspect, it even entails the way we live. So security is quite important. Coming back to the points that we've discussed today, I think we've clearly today distinguished the two differences here. I personally want ECOMIC to continue staying to stabilize the country, but we got to understand that it cannot continue forever. We need to have a plan and we need to work with that plan to execute it. And then the other thing I want to see happen is the Senegalese forces in Fonyi. For me personally, they either has to come under the ECOMIC command or their reasons to be in the Fonyi needs to be, even if it's not openly discussed, it needs to be brought in line with our constitution. So we Gambians watching here, you got a member of parliament here, and go and speak to them. They are our representative. They can summon the defense minister to say, look, we are having incidents in Fonyi. This is a bilateral agreement between the president and the Senegalese one. But as far as the constitution of the Gambia dictates, that is unconstitutional. So we want to not to make it something that is unconstitutional so Gambians can know the details that we can know. We don't have to know the military strategy or the inside detail. But for me, as a Gambian, sitting here wearing a Gambian shirt, I'm not comfortable. There is some forces, however close we are in Senegal, I'm not underplaying the importance of that special relationship. But I want their forces in Gambia to have that legal mandate for the reason to be there, either through the ECOMIC or for that bilateral agreement to be discussed in Parliament. And for the people of Fonyi, look, Fonyi, Nyanija, Nyomi, we are Gambians. Whenever we talk and discuss, this flag is what binds us, Gambian force. In our ID card, in our passport, it doesn't say your ethnicity. It says Gambian. So we should all try and aspire what is the national best interest of Gambia when it comes to our security, when it comes to our politics, when it comes to everything. And we, especially our leaders, they've got a role to play in this because they have a collective responsibility to entire Gambians to maintain the security. And if we are having security lapses in Fonyi, then it's up to our leaders to come and address that. And to be quite honest, I've visited the Gambia. I've seen that checkpoint where it is. If I'm not a military guy, but anything that we do in terms of security, even if you put in a CCTV camera, you have to do a risk assessment. What purpose you put in the CCTV camera there for? When I saw that checkpoint, my nephew was driving. I was like, this checkpoint is a death trap. And he said, what do you mean? I said, this checkpoint, Gambians would be killed here. And to be quite honest, I know of 2 incidents where lorries or cars has run into that checkpoint. So they need to look at it. They need to make sure they assess things before it happens. Any decision that is taken, it needs to be looked into properly. Put some mechanism in place. Any agreement that the president is signing on our behalf, because he swear this to uphold our constitution, he should make sure that when he's putting a pen to something, our interest is protected first, not his interest. And we are Gambians. The safety and the security of Gambia is our collective responsibility. Look, I am not denying the Gambian armed forces has caused some issues, but we have over 7,000 of them. I don't think we've even mentioned more than 200 in the TRRC. We've got over majority of them. They are patriotic, they are very proud Gambians, and they are very professional. And one thing I just want to clarify or just to buttress before Dabakh comes in, let's remember what brought ECOMIC there, yes. But during the impasse, we got to understand also how the constitution works. Most of these security forces were answerable to Jammeh at that time because he was the commander-in-chief. When Jammeh overstayed or when his time has elapsed, any Gambian that has supported Jammeh under that time wearing a uniform, then that person has break the constitution. But even during the impasse, and I think some people have tried to clarify this, that was the case Some of them were still answerable to Jammeh because he was the head of state. And secondly, when these forces entered the Gambian thingy, yes, they press up. We even joke about like they can only beat civilians and all that. It's a welcome because they were not seen as aggression. They were not seen as opponent. They were seen as brothers and sisters that came in to solidify and maintain the peace in Gambia. And I think even when they entered, Jammeh was at the airport going. So what needs to happen now? Security reforms need to be prioritized.
Okay.
5 years is a lifetime to achieve something. Yeah, you can achieve a lot in 12 months, let alone 2 years, 3 years. Let them not play politics with these security reforms because it affects our national security. Let them make it a priority, make sure what needs to be done is done properly, and let them give that urgency to it. We don't want to wait for another 5 years. We're going still the same stage. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you for having me. It's been an honor.
Thank you.
Brother
Thank
Dabakh, we will be in touch soon,
Dabakh,
inshallah.
Dabakh, you are free to go. We'll
well.
have you anyway. Yeah, Mr. Ba, I will reach out
Yes.
again. Thank you. Thank you.
All
We
right. Thank you
appreciate
very
the
much.
discussion. Dabakh, you can go on, or you are free to go if you want to. If you want to say something, that's fine.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something. You see, Gambians need to understand politics is good, it's nice, it's part of our lives, and we'll continue to do that. But what is more fundamental and key is and realize that.
Okay. Dabakh, you are gone. You are not coming in. You are not connecting. We cannot hear you. Bye, Daba. Your connection is not working. Okay. Thank you all very much. Ali Mbal Tentula Mbali. Let me see. Daba, your connection is gone. Mbal Tentula Mbali Jay nga kachala ke jamin sensitive. Nga mol je be react kam because of temper. Nga fole introduction ko. Dolu binara jende with anger. Baral se jio mi nga kachala debate nga lom what will be done. Mafoko, le sambali and jam. Oh, this problem they will fix it right away. No, we have to discuss as a community. We have to discuss as a nation. So more discussion or like kanjang. It's not like until we discussing this and we want to they can fix it right away. Or their opinions cannot be heard. Ngela kacha moile. I wish man sakunda fana mbella moila. Ntede nte kungo I have a say today. Nga fo janne ni modolu malong they are new here. Nte wata kombo faraba bantan. 2018 nga bundal konkong nga ofisolu konkong nga sulo soto nko mole nata yakabe na kenyota la na na kenyota aben na banko tinyala aben na sate yang kandila jiolo kon nga bundal konkong dulati je mantada nga dulali bela konkong moman danku because Gambia no nabe office akate busy tale number 1. Number 2 ibukala fi communication ola. Number 3 mindiate kawaleke. Number 4 they don't care. Na funding ke saba wale fat age 30 the only son of his mother. Age 24 the fourth son of his mother. He was going to Gambia College. He was a teacher. And an 18-year-old daddy's boy. He helped his dad and mom. Nobody cared. We knocked at every door. We lost these people. We have injured. It was President Barrow's government. Quiet. Nobody cared. Nobody. But now the same people are back in the government again. President Barrow, what do you need to change? You do not hire people that do not want to communicate. They make themselves so busy. I'm telling you, a Gambian in their regular office is more busier than a senator in the United States or Joe Biden, a president. You reach out to them, they don't want to talk, they don't want to communicate, they don't want to be part of anything. That has to change because the generations have changed. Molla balunya falintale and dunia be falling kanne. Communication is very important. Kido to kumala no banko kan. Muso na la dimbayal ye dingol bambuy koto ye bori imale ke kuntilindane mansa kunda ye si Minister of Defense manfe moyabulu, Minister of Information Minister of Interior manfe moyabulu, minister molu moy man soldier or police or everybody moy president moy. We are not saying president should talk about everything or he should come out and say everything. He hired people. It's a concern. Something had to change. Communication had to change. Akan silale, akan sunu. Kielu wale se borno. Bare musol. We are the vulnerable with our own children. The disabled. So this is not, it's not about more nganyale lo mola do kukang. I'm not even qualified for their jobs anyway. I don't even want it. Okay? I'm grateful with what I have or somebody else have. But what we just want is the communication. Nimmobe palaso ta man sonka communicate ko ketala ko onda. Ajindi abaydo kuala. Abay. Generations have changed. All we want communication. That's all we want. Peace of mind in that country. Be walam na opinion oti. Fonyinkolu mba falalie. Mbe hakilo balikam. Nya bali je kan. When solidarity Allah sulo mun na sulo leti wala na bi nga kacha kaja. Ntolte solution sambala nanno. Ntolbe kacha doron nella nga debate le. Kuo ku fire debate. Hana tata parliament le to fire debate. Senegalese ni Senegal dunta nyokonale. Senegal sulata Gambia la, Gambia sulata Senegal la. Wala na kacha sensitive. Nyenta mine kelano. Nga fo Senegalese yebe Gambia la kono. Nyina mi itala baraso titebe lola jannet. You cannot go further. Wala mkacha tati. Bare mobe ya kela suloti. Alen na kacha se alien follow, alien subscribe Facebook. Nim momo be kacha kala na alake hakili mayat. Hakili mayala ka kusambana. Horomanta ya ka morning aman na faso. You cannot change nothing. So mbal tentula mbali jayila. Me thank you all. We will be here next Sunday. Dimasu Kotembina. We will come up. Nga Gambia no le sambana. Citizenol. Alfangola mol. Nka wale sambana. That's why we are grateful on this platform. We bring our own people. We reach out to them. They volunteer. They come run it. No problem. So mbal tentula mbali jayila. Ala baraka. Alimbatu. Kachalem. Alnga kacha. Ngafo mansaya yemoy. Ngafo moli yemoy. Gambia yemoy. Nasulo len. Ha. Ala baraka. Alimbatu ko. Na scorpionol. Mbafala ala baraka. Ndode. Aka ente. Mbe fondinkel tentula mbali jayila. Mbijang next Sunday. Kachadol kadia, kachadol kadimi. Ha. Amanka kodita na kachala. Ite you just want to hear what you want to hear. Gambia no have to stop that. You cannot just hear the only thing you expect to hear. You have to open your mind. Aliya kacha. That's why we are here. Allah barak. He said, I wish I could come here every day. Oh boy. But instead of you stopping your phone, it used to be that if you wanted Boya, thank you. Kisima. Dukure, thank you. Jiva, Allah baraka. Thank you. Jesse, thanks. Koto, thank you. Kasama, Allah baraka. Allah baraka. Allah baraka.